All right, this is just a mic check. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Another mic check. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Another mic check. All right. Today is December the 16th, 2021. That was nice. Welcome to the show. Today, being the 16th of December 2021, can only mean
one thing. That one thing is we're going to talk about Darth Dawkins. No, I take that back. We're going to listen to Darth Dawkins on coronavirus. Remember back when nobody knew anything about coronavirus? It was new. It was all guesswork. Remember that? A couple of years back? Well, the only person on the planet who knew anything about coronavirus was Darth Dawkins. Because as you're about to hear in the next 12 hours of Darth Dawkins talking about coronavirus, he knows everything. He predicts the whole trajectory of coronavirus going into the future. What a brilliant... He must be the next Messiah. He's so prophetic. Actually, he's not prophetic. He's pathetic. Is Gary Milne an anti-vaxxer? Well, that's a good question. Why don't we go find out? Bloody good idea. Let's take it away.
Darth, I think you've clearly pushed this guy into a corner. By the way, your voice is like fucking 5 octaves lower than normal. Are you sick, or are you just on a different device or something?
No.
You cut out, sir. Can everyone else hear him, or did he just die for me?
Oh no, he definitely died.
Yeah, he cut out.
Oh, there. That's the standard Darth voice. He must have 2 mics or something. So Darth, I didn't want to cut you off if you want to keep going with that guy. But Avi wants to talk to you about coronavirus. He heard some of your statements. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Darth?
I'm fine.
So I heard you say certain things about coronavirus, specifically about how it's the comparison to the flu is not apt because the way they're estimating the case fatality ratio for the flu involves the individuals who are sent back from the hospital or not admitting to the hospital because they had minor symptoms. And if we accounted for that, the mortality rate would actually be a lot higher for the flu. Is that accurate?
No, my position is they're calculating the death ratio based upon an extrapolation of tens of millions of people, which is an extrapolation. They don't know how many people have been infected.
Sure. So let's say we get around that and just look at the number of people who are said to have died from the flu.
And
then we...
Okay, so here we go. Professor Darth Dawkins, renowned epidemiologist and virologist and coronavirusologist of this planet, is about to explain to us how coronavirus works and how it'll all pan out and why we are so stupid to pay any attention to it at all.
Compare that to the number of people who are said to have died from the coronavirus. And if we break that down by week, say we do that in New York State, we see that the weekly deaths for coronavirus is far, far greater, not only greater than the flu, but in the last week, every day, it's been greater. It's been more than double the New York City average total deaths for all causes each day.
Yeah, but you have to do this on a long-term thing, not short-term.
Sure, but the issue is, yeah, I agree. But even so, like, what would your standard be? What would your standard for long-term be? Should be. I just want to set a goal.
Well, first of all, we already know now that the government is cooking the books. They're taking anybody who tests positive for the coronavirus who simply dies. They're being recorded all over the country. There's a Michigan senator who was caught with documents where he's being instructed to promote that anyone who tests positive for coronavirus and dies, that they're to be listed as being the death from coronavirus.
So I want to say a few things about that, actually. So one thing I'll say is that there is no cause of death reporting that happens impeccably. There are always certain things that don't happen perfectly, as they do with the flu. But what I would say is that when someone is thought to die from the flu, if someone dies from like cardiomyopathy or ischemic heart disease or even a stroke and they have a flu, if it's thought to exacerbate the condition at all, that also goes there, even for the flu. In many ways, that wouldn't actually be a symmetry break.
Have all of the stats so far been wildly wrong in many areas? For example, all of the stats coming from China, have they been wrong and false? Well, I'm sure you would agree, yes. All of the projections, have they been right? No, they haven't.
Well, I'm not looking at projections. I'm just looking at what we already know. I'm just looking at the total death counts, and I'm looking at it for the flu, and I'm looking at it for coronavirus.
So then what you're saying is then we really don't know what the cause of death is then, right?
Well, no. I'm saying it's well, my position. Okay, well, it depends what you mean by no.
Well,
but
how
again,
are we going to know when they write down the cause of death is the coronavirus?
Yeah. So
how are we going to know if they write down it's a coronavirus death that it was actually?
So that's not what they write down. The way cause of death reporting works is actually I can link to how it works. There's an immediate cause of death, and then there are contributing causes. So it's not a dichotomy or a one thing gets put in the slot where cause of death is either cardiomyopathy or coronavirus or sepsis or influenza. They all get put down. So the flu would get put down as a contributing factor for a heart attack. That happens just as well. So all I'm saying is that what is being reported is either the immediate cause or what is thought to be a contributing cause, and that's happening for both the coronavirus and the flu. That's not going to be a symmetry breaker in the reporting.
Do you trust the stats and the prognosis and the predictions coming out of Fauci's mouth?
I'm not even talking about that.
Well, he's the head of the government dealing with this.
I understand, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just all I'm saying is just not forgetting any projections, forgetting anything that we're looking at in the future, just looking.
Hey, maybe he's onto something, because it looks like Darth Dawkins was onto Fauci right from the very beginning, and Fauci today seems to be not that popular as far as I can tell. Hello, Bulldog. Hello, Freethinker. Bulldog 101. Is that the real Bulldog 101? Or is that the fake Bulldog 101?
At the way this is being reported for both the flu and the coronavirus, and just looking at the total deaths for New York City right now are more than double the average expected total deaths, which doesn't even have a lot of crazy variability.
Yeah, how many of those people have pre-existing conditions?
I'm sure a lot of them do, but the point here is
I was just reading an article that maybe you have some stats that can correct this, but that in the United States, that only 150 people have died from the coronavirus that did not have serious pre-existing conditions.
I can look into that, but what I can say
so
is
what's your position? Do you think the coronavirus is vastly more deadly than the flu?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Because when we look at the total mortality is more than double the average expected for New York City, and even
we've only been dealing with for a few months.
over the last
and we'll have to see over the course of a year, not just a couple months.
But all I'm saying is certainly over that last week, disease substitution doesn't explain that. Disease misclassification doesn't explain it either.
We have different death rates in different countries and different locales. The death rate is entirely different in Italy than it is here.
Sure, but you would agree. But just to be clear, you would still agree.
I don't see any convincing data yet that the coronavirus is overwhelmingly more deadly than the flu.
Okay,
what we're finding out is that the coronavirus is very deadly for those who have serious pre-existing conditions.
Well, that can still be true, and it can still be true.
Do
hold on.
you think that the coronavirus is any more deadly to people that don't have pre-existing conditions versus people who get the flu and don't have pre-existing conditions?
Yeah, I do actually. And I do have ICU data.
Hello, Retting Q. Welcome.
Actually, if I could find it, that does show that. So if they
What
compare
is your branch of medicine?
I did a year of internal medicine, and then I went on to clinical research in dermatology.
Okay, so you're a dermatologist.
I'm not a dermatologist as of yet. I've matched into dermatology. I'm a physician.
What are you doing right now?
Right now, I'm doing clinical research in
Hello,
dermatology,
Mickey D.
although I may be repurposed to taking care of coronavirus patients.
So you're not practicing medicine?
Yes, I am practicing medicine.
Oh, you said you're doing research.
Yes, clinical research.
Are
You practice medicine within the confines of.
Okay, are you seeing patients and treating them?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what clinical is, idiot.
I'm just looking for the ICU data. So basically, there's data from ICU admissions for people who have both the flu and people who have the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And they were admitted to the ICU for flu versus coronavirus. And even with people who were young and healthy, they ended up, actually, let me see, I think this is it. Any very severe comorbidities for the no category for patients with viral pneumonia, non-COVID-19, percentage that died in critical care for those who did not have severe comorbidities was 19.4%. And for people who did not have any severe comorbidities, who died in critical care with confirmed COVID-19 was 47.6%.
Where are you reading from?
Yeah, I'll post it in general.
All that I know is I'm reading various articles coming off of news sources of where the stats are constantly changing. Okay.
I understand. I could find you this.
So I have a lot of skepticism with the crap that we're getting out from the government stats. We were told that we were going to have a death toll of over 100,000. Are we even seeing that? No, we're not even coming close to that. Right?
Oh,
Fauci told us in the beginning that this was going to be trivial. And then he was predicting millions of people would die. Then he reduced it down to 200,000. Now then it was reduced to 100,000.
Well, regardless of all of that, I'm not basing anything on projections.
Okay, well, the point.
This is data that's already happened.
Right, but the point is, we're going to have to do this over a year, not just over a couple of months.
Right, but this is
total nationwide, not just in a particular locale. Because because there's a spike of deaths in New York City, it could have a higher death rate than the flu. Than in other areas, we don't have that, where the flu is far more deadly in certain geographical locations.
Yeah, I think this study wasn't in New York. This wasn't in. I don't think this was in New York.
We might have a significantly higher death rate in New York because of maybe some unique geographical considerations. But when we look at the geographical stats,
so this will show you how absolutely and 100% totally full of shit Darth Dawkins is. Coronavirus comes along and he fucking knows everything. Hey, he's Darth Dawkins. He knows everything. Just listen to him. He obviously, we know now, obviously, even then we knew that he knows nothing because nobody knew anything about coronavirus. Well, not nobody. I'm sure the mucky muck doctors knew a hell of a lot more than Darth Dawkins. And even Fauci at the time knew more than Darth Dawkins. But he said, what, 100,000 people are going to die? What is the actual number of people who died from coronavirus in the United States? If I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere around like $800,000. $800,000. Sorry, 800,000 people, and not 100,000 people. So, yeah, let's see what the professor has to contribute. What more he can tell us. What more the professor can teach us?
That's for the nation as a whole. That's going to be an entirely different matter. Okay,
Let's say this study was on
death rate. Well, let me ask you this way: do you think that the death rate for the coronavirus in the United States is the same death rate as it is in Italy?
No, I agree that there's variability.
Why is there a difference in the death rate?
Yeah, there could be several reasons for the difference in the death
Well,
rate.
one reason. The number one reason why.
Yeah, one reason could be that they have an elderly population. Another reason could be that they are more. Their culture is different. They're more. Okay. All right. Another reason could be
so merely citing the stats from a small geographical location that may have its own unique
Listen to him.
parameters is not enough to be
God
overall nationwide and worldwide what the actual
sure. And let's say this study, and let's say we have a study. I understand. Let's say we have a study that is representative. Let's say we.
So I got a question. If Darth Dawkins can be so totally wrong about coronavirus, if he can be so out to lunch on coronavirus, how much of a leap is it to know that Darth Dawkins is totally out to lunch on pretty much anything he says, specifically Christianity, presuppositionalism, and I've got a whole list of Darth Dawkins coming up. The stupid will be stupefying. So pat yourselves on the back that for the next few Sidney Winston episodes, you will be on a higher intellectual plane than the subject of the episodes, which will be Darth Dawkins. So let's see. Sorry to interrupt you, Professor Dawkins. Professor Dawkins, that sounds like fucking Richard Dawkins. Damn. We got to call him by his name. I don't like this Dawkins name. He's kind of taking the Darth Dawkins is taking the Dawkins name and making it muddy. I don't like that. So I am going to refrain from calling him Darth Dawkins from now on. From now on, Darth Dawkins is Gestapo Gary. Okay? Gestapo Gary. We still got your GG and your alliteration from your DD. GG. It's not that much of a leap either. And we remove the word Dawkins out of it. Gestapo Gary, it is. So what I'm going to do in front of your eyes is make the change. Make the change official. There we go. How's that? Gestapo Gary on coronavirus. With his with the black and white photo in the background.
Well, we don't have that yet. We're gonna have.
Well, wait a minute. I'm not. This study is.
Gormless Gary. I like it.
No, the point is simply this: is you're telling me what the death rate is just because of New York. Well, I could sit
No, I'm not.
there.
No, wait. That's not true. Hold on. That's not true. The data I just gave you is ICU admissions. I don't believe that's from New York. Let me find you that study, but I'm pretty sure that is not from New York.
Okay, fine. So, well, you know what? You think that it's far more lethal than the flu. I think it's on par with the flu. Earlier, it seemed to be that it was less. Now it seems to be more on par, especially with the spike of deaths in New York. But that may be specific to certain factors that in New York, just like we have in Italy. Well, we're only going to be able to know more of this a year on out when this is all done and over with.
So if that's true, if that is true, then how the hell does he know it a year before? Like he says we're only going to know it a year later, but this is what it is. And you'll find out a year later that I was right.
To ask you what I'm going to get the study for you and tell you which geographic area it's from. Can I just get a goalpost on what would change your mind? Like specific criteria of what would change your mind?
Good question.
I want to see the long-term yearly stats. rather than the week by week month, or just simply focusing on one small geographical area like New York.
Okay.
And what I'm seeing is a lot of the information what we're getting from the CDC has been wrong to begin with, and they keep on changing, their conclusions and their prognosis.
Gaslighting, Gary. Yeah, good one.
So it's not that I think the coronavirus is trivial at all. I think it's a very serious problem. Up until about a week ago, it seemed that it wasn't as deadly as the flu in terms of large numbers, but apparently it's as lethal for people who have serious pre-existing medical
only
conditions.
for them, eh?
But
So
what I've been talking about is people who don't have pre-existing medical conditions. It's just like getting a bad cold or even maybe a mild flu. There really
800,000 people died, remember?
is people who get it with serious pre-existing medical conditions.
Okay, so the data I have here is from critical care units in England, Wales, Northern Ireland, with confirmed COVID-19 or confirmed.
Over what period of time?
Yeah, sure, I'll get it for you. Let's see. Well, it's not going to be a year because COVID wasn't around for a year. So if that's your standard, I don't think
we're only going to be able to make really good evaluation of the stats. Why do I hear my sexy voice? Okay, a year on out. Okay, I'm still of the same basic opinion that I do not think that the coronavirus is vastly more deadly on average for people who are infected with the coronavirus. It may be on par or even slightly more lethal now with the new stats, especially with the stats in New York City, with people who have serious pre-existing conditions. The article that I just read that
wouldn't you be seriously embarrassed if you were Gestapo, Gary? Surely you would. Anyway, I would love to go and say hi to you guys in the chat there. Welcome to my crazy house. Okay. Algorithm just joined. Oh, hey, Algorithm and Bulldog 101 are related. They are both Australian. So you should each say hello, cousin, to each other. Let's carry on. Let's carry on. Listen to barf. Gestapo Gary.
We only have in the United States, and I'm willing for somebody to. I got that at the Gateway Pundit, that we only have around 150 people in the country who died from the coronavirus who did not have serious pre-existing conditions. Okay. So if somebody wants to,
highly skeptical of that, I can look into that if you want me to.
He's arguing so vehemently for coronavirus being like a conspiracy from the left or something.
Sure, great.
I do want to give you this other piece of information because it's not just from New York. So here's the PDF I am giving from. Here's a PDF I'm getting from. Let's see.
Let me ask you a simple question. Could the large number of deaths that spiked in the last few weeks, could it have been significantly contributed due to the fact that we have a large Asian population or population of Chinese that travel to and from China?
Oh, Chinese! He's going for the Chinese. How politically incorrect can you get, Gary? Gestapo Gary. Go for it.
Do you mean in terms of them giving us the? Well, look, I think if we close the borders down.
Do you think that could be a significant factor?
Well, that it came from China, so
yeah, we
go.
I
mean,
here we go.
But I'm trying to point out that, like in Italy, we have a large spike in deaths. Are you aware of the fact that there's a large Chinese tourist population and they refuse to shut their borders.
Dunning Darth.
Now in New York, what we have in New
Yeah.
York and we have on the West Coast, we have certain geographical locations where there's a high density of Chinese tourists coming and going. That could have a significant impact on why there's such a large spike of deaths in those local geographical
Sure,
areas
sure.
like
But
you do
this,
in
so
Italy.
here's
Ooh,
the study I'm
who's
giving you
talking
is
over there?
not just looking at total deaths. It's looking at like, okay, if you get COVID versus if you get flu. And this is not just from New York. This is from England, Wales, Northern Ireland. If you get COVID versus if you get flu, for people who have no pre-existing conditions, who is more likely to die if you were admitted to the ICU?
England and Wales.
England, Wales, and Ireland. North Ireland.
Why doesn't he just
And
say?
where is this coming from? What's the study?
I posted it.
Why does Darth just say, "Look, I don't know as much as you don't know, so I'm on your side on this. We don't have a clue." But no, he's got to take a stance of a crazy Christian stance that what you're seeing, germ theory doesn't really exist, and the virus is nothing, just just a minor flu.
And I'll post the PDF again.
Yeah,
so in general, this is from the. Here's the PDF. This is from the ICNARC.
What is the weforum.org?
The what?
You posted Aziz posted something from the We Forum, although you didn't post that.
I don't know what someone else is posting, but I posted a PDF.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, well we'll know a year out from now whose conclusions are correct.
So are you just to be clear? Are you taking an agnostic position on this, or are you taking like a positive position that you're gonna...
No. A week or two ago, I was of the view that the coronavirus was less deadly than the flu, but then when we had the spiking in New York, it seems to be approaching the same death levels as the flu.
Okay. And by approaching
that spike in deaths may be vastly increased because of New York City's geographical parameters, not so much purely of the nature of the virus itself.
Sure, but wouldn't those
we have in Italy?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but wouldn't those geographical parameters also affect the flu?
Not necessarily, because what we have is the issue with the flu is spread by all sorts of different ethnic groups initially, right?
Gary,
where is it that the coronavirus is
Gary, are you a doctor? Are you a doctor that you can come and tell us what the flu is all about? Because you know all about the flu. How do you know all about the flu? Did you get a medical degree? See, this is the kind of interrogation that he gives you when you say something. When you give a fact, he'll say, "Well, what is your discipline? What is your education? Do you have a PhD in what you're saying? And if you don't, well, I should listen to you." But Darth, Gustavo Gary, has an opinion on everything because he is uneducated and ignorant on everything. This is pure Christianity and insanity.
Specifically a Chinese virus.
Okay,
that's why. Isn't it interesting? We're seeing a massive spike in deaths in an area of the country where there's a huge Chinese population, as well as in northern Italy, where there's also a huge contingent of Chinese tourists.
Really? Really, Darth?
The Italians did not shut off their borders to the Chinese tourism because they feared being called racist.
Ooh.
So I personally believe, and I'm willing to be shown wrong, when the year is up, when they do all the studies, I believe that that's why we're seeing such a large spike in the deaths here in New York City and not elsewhere in the country. Why aren't we seeing the spike of deaths in the same rate that we do in New York State that we have in other places of the country?
Yeah, there could be several things for that.
I don't think he got high school, I swear.
Issues.
Geographic and a large Chinese contingent.
Yeah, the other things are that we can also be temporally ahead of other states. By that I mean that we're temporally ahead of the curve, so that if you count like by time of 10th infection or whatnot, we can be ahead. I'm just looking at. Can you just give me your source? Because I've been giving you.
He solves himself.
Can we just mute on whoever's coughing real quick?
Sorry.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of the articles and the stats that they've been getting from various government organizations, including the World Health Organization. Do you think the World Health Organization is to be trusted?
No.
Well, I don't think anything is to be trusted. I look at the data and I look at the methodology.
I wouldn't
and
trust
come
them.
to and I come to my conclusions of what is reasonable and not
Sorry.
Okay,
reasonable.
fine. All right.
That's how I operate. I don't take anything seriously. All right, please can we get a mute on this guy? So I presented you 2 studies. I can give you more reasons to think.
Sorry, who is it you're asking for a mute on?
Well,
you know the guy that was like
Yeah,
whatever
well,
the so guy.
Yeah, let's say we could say hypothetically.
I don't know who that is.
The coronavirus is more
The guy we were just
deadly
talking to before.
for people with pre-existing
Sure.
conditions, but in a general population, it's just not more deadly. It's just it may be slightly more deadly than the flu, given people's medical pre-existing conditions, and in addition, unique geographical factors such as New York and Italy.
Sure. I think that the point of the data
He's
that
just
I'm giving
making
you
claims,
is that
isn't he?
it was an analysis including people without pre-existing conditions.
Okay, so we're still
And
early. We're still early on in evaluating the nature of the coronavirus.
Okay, so if your position is agnosticism, then if you're just going to say
I didn't. That isn't my position. I said, but we're still early on. So, do you think you can be absolutely definitive right now?
no, I'm not claiming to be absolutely definitive.
Yes, they're talking about brain dead Artangelo. But Artangelo's a nice guy, even though he's brain dead. You know, he's cordial. But he only appears anywhere on the internet at the will of Darth Dawkins, of Gestapo Gary. If Artangelo appears in a chat, if he suddenly appears in this chat, firstly, it could be fake Artangelo, but secondly, if it isn't fake Artangelo, he's there by the divine gift that Darth has given him to join the chat room as a troll. But he has to troll. He can't have a serious conversation. He has to have a trolly conversation. That's kind of the way he rolls these days.
What I'm saying is that based on what I am saying, sure, but what I am saying is that based on everything I've seen, and based on my training in interpreting data and reading publications, reading studies, I think the arguments for downplaying it are unfounded, and I do think that there's good reason. I'm not saying you. I'm not accusing you. I'm just saying that I do. Here's what I think. Based on everything I've seen, based on the data I've seen and my training in interpreting the data, I do think that this is a virus so far based on it. And yes, this could change in data can always change, but the currently available data, I believe, indicates that it is more dangerous for the flu, both for people who have and do not have pre-existing conditions.
Nationwide, or do you mean just in New York State? Because that's where we're seeing the spike of deaths.
The data I have showing that analysis was from England, Wales, and North Ireland.
Oh, I'm not commenting about worldwide. My only comments were restricted to the United States.
Okay, if we're just talking about the United States, then the best what I can do is here's the issue, Darth. The issue is that we're dealing with a virus that is, if we're talking about the United States, it's still an exponential spread. We're still seeing an exponential increase in the death in the United States.
No, we've already reached the peak. It's already peaked in New York State.
It's already peaked.
No, I said in the United States, not New York State.
Okay, all right. We're not.
Absolutely.
It's not growing exponentially in the country.
Well, show
me how it's growing exponentially.
Well, by definition,
exponentially.
Exponentially, yeah. It means the current death. Okay. Yeah, it means the current death is a proportionally greater function. It means so today's deaths are proportionally as a function greater than
exponentially
the previous.
Is not the same thing as arithmetically.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the rate.
All
No,
right.
I didn't say total deaths. The rate. That has to be exponential.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Given your so-called medical expertise, how many people do you think we're going to see dead by the end of the year or by the summer? Do you think we're going to have more than 20,000 people dead?
By the end of the 20,000, yes, I do think there will be more than 20,000.
So that's flu territory.
Well, I don't know if it's flu territory. It could more than 20,000.
20,000, around 20,000.
Wait, I didn't say. Wait, Darth, I didn't say that it was going to be around 20,000.
Okay,
I said it was. You asked me if it was going to be
have
greater.
30. Do you think we're going to have 30,000 or 40,000 people dead from the coronavirus in the United States?
I think you'll have more than that. Yes.
Okay, what's your number? Because I'm going to remember this.
Okay. As of now, I think sure. So as of now, by August? By August, I think we'll have approximately. I think it will be approximately 60,000 by August. So you can put that number down and time frame.
60,000 in the United States by August.
60,000.
Okay, I'm going to remember this.
Yep, USA, 60,000 by August.
Yes.
And then it always gets harder to
60,000 deaths, and he's absolutely dumbfounded. How can there possibly be 60,000 deaths in the United States? Come on. I'm Darth Dawkins, and I don't see it.
Yep.
So right now, I'm looking, I Googled, it says right now we have 18,000 dead. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that the number of deaths is going to triple in the United States? We've already seen the number of
by August.
And on what grounds?
Yeah. So so that's just
Are you in New York?
I'm in New York. Yeah.
Okay. You've been following the news where the deaths have already peaked? They're starting to go down.
No, I understand. They've only well, hold on. I'll just say a few things about that. So yes, I do expect the peak to happen, if not already happened.
Okay.
We are in our first day of a lower amount of deaths than the previous day. We're at 777 deaths. Yesterday it was 799 deaths.
Right now, there's 18,763 deaths in the United States. So you believe that there's going to be 42,000 more deaths in the United States by August. So we're already in the middle of April.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got June, July. Are you saying
wait, Josh, just real quick, I'll answer your question.
At the beginning or end of August?
At the beginning, by August, I believe it's early August.
Okay, so we got May, June, July. Okay, so in 3 months, you think we're going to have 40,000 more deaths?
Yeah, approximately.
Okay, so you think that there's going to be people are going to be even more contagious given the warm weather? Okay.
No, I think it'll be in spite of that. And the reason I think that is because the way the curves work, the curves are not symmetrical. The rise and fall of pandemics, they're not a symmetrical. If you were to graph,
were the government prognoses about the deaths? Where is it wrong? Were they wrong?
I think they were. I mean, there were IHME
they
models.
They were wrong.
Sure.
They were
well, you're asking me for my prediction. You're not asking. I mean,
well, I know that, but all right. So so you're telling me your prediction, because you're a doctor, okay, and obviously that's not anything to be disparaged, but at the same time, we have a cadre of doctors working for the CDC, and they've made numerous prognoses that they're flat wrong about, especially when they initially said, "Oh, it's going to be," and Fauci. You know who Fauci is, right?
I know who Fauci is.
Yeah, he's the head honcho over there, right? And he said, "Oh, this is not going to be anything." Then it spiked. Then he says, "Oh, we're going to have millions dead." Then he says, and remember, this is his precise field. This is not your field. Your field is dermatology. His field is infectious diseases. Okay, and he's the head. I forget what the title of the subdivision of the CDC that he's in, but he's the head guy. He's on there every day with Trump. He was initially saying we were going to have millions dead.
Can I get a prediction from you? Do you have a prediction?
No, I don't think that we'll see. I don't think that we'll see.
You can ballpark it. Like, where do you think the deaths are going to be?
I don't see more than 30,000. I think.
Okay, so let's say. Okay, so let's put. So you say no more than 30,000 by August.
Yeah.
I say around 60,000 by August. Definitely more than 30,000.
I don't believe that at all.
Okay, so let's just lock that in.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you? By the way, and so I've provided you.
If Fauci does this for a living, he's the #1 doctor at the CDC in the department that deals with infectious diseases. If this is his area of expertise and he's the head of this in the United States, and he's making prognosis about the severity of it, saying, oh, it's not going to be anything that serious, and then it turns out to be serious, and then he states we're going to see millions of dead, and then he says, oh no, we're just going to see thousands of dead. If this is a guy who does it for a living, he has all of the government stats, and he's wrong time and time again. Why should I trust your evaluation when this isn't even your field?
Because by August, I'm going to be right and you're going to be wrong, Darth.
That's entirely different.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is, this is Fauci's field. This is what he has been doing his whole career.
Yeah, I understand. So I'll say a couple of things about that. Yeah.
Disorder.
Yeah. No,
the point is, he. This is what he does for a living. You don't do it for a living, and he's been wrong time and time again.
Okay, that's true here, but here's okay. Wait.
Why should I have confidence in what you're saying?
Okay, sure. So I have made it my sort of life's goal, despite my field being dermatology. I've made it kind of my life's goal to learn how to evaluate data, learn how to evaluate studies.
And so is he.
Yeah, he is. Okay, that's true. He is too.
Yeah. And specifically dealing with infectious disorders.
Yep, I agree.
On a nationwide basis.
That's true.
And he's been wrong time and time and time again.
The other thing I'll say is that
so I should trust your expertise rather than his.
Well, it's not. I'm not asking you to trust my expertise. That's not.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. Okay. That was a lot of BS. You started giving me all your credentials, and then you do these studies and all this kind of stuff. You are asking me to trust your expertise.
Okay, so then let me step back and if that's wait, Darth. Let me take a step back. If that's the impression I'm getting, then I'm sorry. Let me take a step back.
That's what you were directly indicating, that you have because you're a medical doctor and you're used to looking at stats. Therefore, I should trust your
okay, that's not what I meant. Okay, but that's not what
exactly what you were trying to convey. Stop.
Well, Darth. No, that's not. Anyone who knows me knows that I always try to do the opposite of this. And you can ask anyone here.
No, you were telling me because you're a doctor and you're familiar with the stats, that you had a greater degree of expertise on this area, and I should trust your opinion and your prognosis on this.
So I do have a greater expertise on this than the average person. I probably don't have it than Fauci, but wait. Well, just a second, Darth. Just a second, Darth. Please. I want to make it clear. I don't want you to trust me in virtue of that. So if you're I
believe you rather than Fauci.
Yeah. So here's the reason I wanted to get also is because the thing that's different about the there and the now is that as you go further into this pandemic, the degree of accuracy gets narrower. So the range, the confidence interval on what the numbers are going to be do actually get narrower. There's a lot more uncertainty earlier on than as you have more and more data. Or so the law of large numbers, as you will.
Have the experts in the government who do this for a living, have they been wrong time and time again?
Sure, they have.
Then why should I trust you?
Because as we get further into the symmetry breakers,
do you have greater expertise than they do?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so they have vastly greater expertise than you, and it's not just Fauci. It's the CDC. They've been wrong time and time again. But I should trust you rather than them, right?
I'm not saying you should trust me rather than them.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just providing all.
Good.
All,
So now we're on record.
Wait.
I think we're done. I said we'll see maybe 25,000, 30,000 at the outermost. I don't even think that we'll see that. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll be glad to admit it. But you're saying right now, because I want to remember this, you're saying we're going to have 60,000 people dead in the United States come August 1st.
Come August 4th. But okay.
August 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question is, how many people had died in the United States by August 4th, 2020? Right? Where am I? What do I? Here we go. August 4th, 2020. How many people had died in the United States? Can somebody look that up? Well, I can look that up, I guess. Just that I'll be slow because I'm streaming and everything. August 1st, 2020. All right, I'll look it up. I'll try and look it up anyway. U.S. deaths from COVID as of August 1st, 2020. Summary. Oh, there we go. No. Why do I get a world view? I want stats by day. Oh, there we go. Okay. See results. Come on, where's some figures? Where's some figures? Oh, shit. Give us some figures. That's not figures at all. August 1 coronavirus news. All right. Let's see if we can find out how many are dead. All right. A key coronavirus model now projects. This is just for the. This is on August the 2nd on CNN. A key coronavirus model now projects there will be more than 230,000 U.S. deaths from COVID-19 by November, up 11,000 from the previous forecast. So November of 2020, how many people had died by the end of November 2020? I don't know really where to look this up, but I'm on the fly here, so I'll leave it to somebody to help me out. Thank you very much. Shall we?
Yeah,
good. I'll remember that.
Okay, so then that's the okay, sure. Okay, and then we'll revisit this conversation at that time.
Sure. And those are easy stats for us to remember.
Yes.
And if you're right, I will take my crow broiled with some cheddar cheese.
Well, I wouldn't ask you to do that. That's not vegan. And it also
all right. Okay, so August. Whoa. So August, Freethinker says August the 3rd, 2020, 83,386 deaths in the US. Okay, what about the 30th of November? Look that up. because that is the date that Gestapo Gary. No, that is the date that I read in the article. 230,000 by November by November 30th of 2020. Wonder if I can ask Google that. Will Google answer me? Okay, Google. How many deaths in the US from coronavirus as of November 30, 2020? Ooh. Did that work?
Sorry, what?
How many deaths from coronavirus in the United States as of 30th November 2020?
Here are some details.
Here's some details, but there's no voice, so November, United States. Deaths. There's the graph. I don't know what it means yet. Oh, I see. It's daily average deaths. Oh, what? 3,000. Oh, that's the number of deaths. I don't know. Can somebody look that up for me? November 30th. Yeah. How many deaths by November 30th? And I'll just carry on with the narrative.
So I've given you.
I've never conversed with a vegan dermatologist. This is my first.
I'm glad to be your first.
Are you also an atheist?
We've spoken about this before. I classified myself as agnostic. I was the guy who was talking.
Thank you, Freethinker. 267,000. Right on. And they projected 230. So okay, fairly close, I guess.
To about
that's absurd.
No, I understand.
You're indirectly telling God.
No, I understand your view on this. We've spoken before. I was the one who was talking to you about light and the age of the universe. Do you remember that conversation?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
You do realize that agnosticism claims not to make a universal negative, but you are making a universal negative.
I understand where you're going with this. I just wanted to talk to you about.
He's not going anywhere. He's using word salad. So, but this guy does understand. So let's see how much patience and tolerance Darth Dawkins or Gestapo Gary has for somebody with a logical and opposite point of view.
Coronavirus. We can talk about agnosticism at a different time.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you're the first dermatologist, atheist, vegan I've ever talked with.
Oh, thanks. I was just wondering, are you basing? Okay, so a couple things. I wanted to see your source for the figure that you mentioned of only 150 people in the United States dead without
I got that stat from an article from the Gateway Pundit. Okay, if you go to the Gateway Pundit, I don't know which article it is, but if you scroll down, it's within the last day or two. Okay, now if you can show me that stat is wrong, I'll be glad not to quote it again.
Okay.
The Gateway Pundit. That sounds like Sydney Winston. So if you read something on Sydney Winston's text, you know it to be scientifically 100% accurate, because Sydney Winston is a PhD in all sorts of things philosophical. Plus he's a trained medical doctor and theoretical physicist, while during his spare time he loves to do astrophysics on a Sunday to relax.
I'm looking for it. Okay, only 150 Americans to date with no pre-existing have died from coronavirus. I'm just going to try tracking through where they.
Yeah, and if that's incorrect, I'll be more than happy to be corrected on it.
Okay, cool.
Makes no difference to me whether I'm right or wrong. Okay, the facts are the facts.
Yeah, I'm just trying to track down their source.
Okay, so I came over here. I guess we're done with that. So we've got our prognostications, and we'll see. Okay,
All
so
right,
I'm
go.
saying anywhere
Move on
25,
then.
30,000 at the outermost.
30,000.
I don't even think we'll see that. And you say 60,000 by August 1st. Okay.
All right, so we know that by August 3rd, it was 83,386. Thank you, Freethinker.
Yeah, August 4th.
So we got May, June, July. Okay, so 3 months to get 42,000 more deaths.
That's right.
Oh, and by the way, what do you think of the
Hydroxychloroquine?
Quine. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I always botch it. Plus, I'm tired. What do you think of its efficacy?
Yeah, the answer is I'm not really sure. I've looked at the trials. I've looked at both the uncontrolled and controlled clinical trials. There's only 2 trials to date that are available. One is a trial from one is a well, they're both from really. One is a trial from France, and the other one is a trial.
You know what I find really strange here is that this guy that he's talking that Gary's talking to, that guy is apparently like a trained medical doctor, specialist, epidemiologist or something, right? And he's talking to Darth as if Gary was if Gary was sort of an equal. Yeah, let's just exchange some information about what we know on equal terms. It's like what Gary does is he kind of hooks them in to thinking that they're going to have a fair and rational conversation. So do you think this is going to remain neutral like it seems to be, or is it going to rapidly spiral out of control? Ooh, I can't wait to see.
From China. The trial from France.
China? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Whoa,
agree.
what happened?
You're gonna believe any bullshit that comes out of China?
No, just to be clear, I don't believe the.
The guy said the word China, and Gary went Gestapo.
I don't believe the reported numbers, if that's what you're asking me, for the deaths. What I can tell you, here's what I can tell you without any, because if that's the case, there's really no randomized controlled trial except for the one in China. What I can tell you from clinical experience, I've had patients who had COVID, and they've been treated with hydroxychloroquine, and some have done better and some have gotten worse on it. And I don't know if more have gotten better than have gotten worse. And
were those who did not get better, did they have pre-existing conditions?
One of my patients who did not have any pre-existing condition in his 40s was, yeah, he was my patient, without giving any HIPAA information away. No, not an old guy, no pre-existing conditions, got COVID positive, put on hydroxychloroquine early, got worse, really worse. So I don't know. The answer is I don't know, and there's trials that are currently enrolling right now.
Okay, so we agree on some things, we disagree on others, and we'll see August 4th.
Yes, we'll see August 4th.
Yes,
just real quick, the rate, it's I'm looking at their sources, worldometers. case fatality rate by comorbidity.
World
And so the death rate, all cases with no pre-existing conditions, is 0.9%. 0.9%. And if we look at the U.S. death cases, if that's extrapolating it to the United States, I'm assuming, unless the data came from the United States. Did it come from the United States?
What I'm just wondering about is
what?
a certain percentage of the death in New York State. Some of these people could have been dead from their pre-existing condition, and they just happened to have COVID.
Oh yes,
and it's simply being recorded that COVID killed them.
Yeah. So the way we're reporting works.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that people who have serious pre-existing conditions, I think COVID pushes them over the top. But not all of those stats of people dying who have both of those conditions are dying from COVID. But this government could be recording them as COVID deaths.
Yeah, it certainly can explain. Just to update you on this, I'm trying to track down this pre-existing no pre-existing conditions, and the only sources I see citing on this is a source from China and another source from the WHO. I think neither of which you trust.
Okay, are you referring to the article that I referenced?
Yes,
in,
correct.
The Gateway Pundit.
Yes. Their citation tracks down to the World Immunotors article for pre-existing medical conditions.
Let me pull that article.
Yeah, sure. In fact, I can post it in general if you'd like.
Sure.
I found it already. So this is the Gateway Pundit article.
Where are you posting it?
General chat.
You should be posting in the Atheist Helpline.
Okay, I can post it there.
This is when you were still on Discord.
It's on the article. It says only 150 Americans to date with no pre-existing conditions have died from the coronavirus.
Yes, and that is an extrapolation based on a death rate from all cases. If you click on where they're getting their sources.
Let me reread this again.
Come on, Gary, get back to the program. Hold on, I'll speed it up a bit until they get back. I think they're back. I think they're not back. Let me just scrub.
Do you?
Oh, there we go. Coming in.
I can show you the link by link if you'd like.
Catch you later, Ritting.
What's the title of the article you're looking at?
Yeah, the title is From the Numbers, Only 150 Americans to date with no pre-existing conditions have died from the coronavirus, or 0.9%, by Jim.
Hey, Bulldog. Seriously, Bulldog. How many blow-up dolls do you think Gary Milne has gone through in his lifetime? Just in the basement. Okay, let's not get too complicated, but just in the basement of his mother's house. And you got to figure that every time he says, look, I'll just be gone for 1 minute, just give me 1 minute and I'll be right back. He's just going to the door to accept the delivery of another online mail order, online mail order blow-up doll. So you count each and every one of those as a blow-up doll. And if you listen to all his conversations where he says, all the different ones, that he says, okay, just give me 1 minute, give me 5 minutes, I'll be right back. Every one of those is a blow-up doll delivery to Gary. Just remember that. Somebody should ask him how many he's gone through, and how many does he only have one sort of one at a time? Does he throw them away when he's done with them and then get another one? Or does he have like 2 or 3, backups? We need to know. Inquiring minds need to know.
Hoft published April 10th, 2020 at 8:12
Yeah.
a.m.
All right. That's what I'm looking at right now on my
Yep.
iPad. Okay.
Do you see the chart that they have?
Yes.
Yep. And just to be clear, we've dismissed data from China. So if you see, but
I
this
don't
data
see
is
any
misleading
chart.
because the most recent data shows that
There's no chart.
0.9% of deaths related to the coronavirus are individuals with no comorbidity, i.e. pre-existing conditions. So you see where that's a hyperlink?
Hold on, I'm looking for it here.
Yeah, he still lives at his mother. He was in the basement.
Where it says the most recent data.
Yep, that's the hyperlink. So that's what they're citing. So click on that.
I'm clicking on it.
That should take you to a World of Meters page.
Got it. I have it right now.
Yep. And if you scroll down, you see a section on pre-existing medical conditions, parentheses, comorbidities.
Yep, got it.
And if you see, so do you see where it says no pre-existing
I don't
conditions
see
and it's
anything. You want to see what
0.9%?
I see? I'll show you what I see.
Yes.
Okay. And do you see, so
That's
there's
what I
sources for
see.
that. Where that comes from, if you scroll down, you see their sources.
Nothing.
Yep, I'm looking at it.
Okay. It actually comes from source number 1, the epidemiological characteristics of an outbreak of 2019 novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19, from China CCDC, February 17th, 2020. If you click on that link, you will see where it comes from. If you can actually control F or 0.9 and find it. It didn't come from the other source number 2 from the WHO. I already checked.
Okay. I'm still.
So I would just like to point out, you seem to be dismissive of all data from China, but your claim here
is from China, then I would dismiss it.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. So
as you heard me say earlier, I gave the quote. Right. I said if this is incorrect, I'm willing to reject it. That's what I said initially.
Okay. So just to be clear, you are now rejecting that claim.
If this is coming from China, I don't want to believe anything that China's saying.
Okay. Well, we've confirmed. I mean, you have it right here.
But that doesn't look it. If it's coming from China, I wouldn't want to rely that it's true, but it doesn't also mean that it's false.
Right. It's just that it's a claim that you will no longer make.
I'm sure in short order we're going to have the number of deaths in the U.S. from other sources, from pre-existing and non-pre-existing conditions.
Sure, but in the meantime, would you not make that claim anymore?
The reports that I'm reading, listening on the news, that the people who are dying, and I'm sure you would agree with this, the people who are dying, in droves, like in New York State, are people who have pre-existing conditions. People with hypertension.
Well, that doesn't.
People who smoke. There are many of.
Bullshit. Those are the people who Governor Cuomo killed. What was his first name? Andrew Cuomo. Darth Gestapo Gary is referring to those old people who were shipped to nursing homes which were centers of COVID. They were shipped to nursing homes where they died instead of being shipped to the medical vessel that President Trump brought into New York. Remember, there was that big, huge hospital ship, and no one was sent to the hospital ship. Andrew Cuomo rather sent them to die in old age homes and infect others. It's almost like the New York genocide is going to be looked at, but in a couple of years, about a couple of years from now, a couple of 100 years from now, when they look back at the history of 2021, the whole COVID thing, Governor Cuomo is going to be looked back at as a somewhat bumbling murderer.
Them are mostly male. They have diabetes.
Well, wait. We'll get to that. I'm going to ask you. We can get to that, sure. But right now, because that doesn't answer my question. My question
Do
is:
you think the majority of people are dying in the country, or even specifically in New York State? Do you think the majority of those people have serious pre-existing conditions?
Yes, but I don't think it's 150. I don't know how many it is, but I think it's more than 100.
Let's agree to say that that's wrong. Okay.
Okay, so okay,
So
so just to be clear, just to be clear, guys. So
majority of
we
people
agree.
dying of COVID are people who have serious underlying medical conditions.
Yes, but we agree that the 150. We agree that the 150 figure claim is not substantiated.
If that's his only source, then I would agree.
That's the only source.
We should be dogmatic.
That's the only source that actually made that claim. There were two sources.
Okay.
So the article that you referenced, the Gateway Pundit article, took us to Worldometers. Worldometers had two sources. It was a report from the WHO, and it was a report from the Epidemiology Characteristics of 2019. Only the first source from China actually made that claim, and that's what they're basing that claim on 150. They're basing it on an extrapolation from China data to get to from the zero to get a 0.9.
Yeah, and here's what he says in bold print. Therefore, based upon this data, he's not saying that this is necessarily ipso facto a gold standard here. He said based upon the data, only 150 Americans. If this research material is true. But you've already agreed that the vast majority of people that are dropping dead have serious pre-existing conditions.
Sure, as is true. As is true for the flu. As is true for many infectious diseases.
Right. So within a matter of a week or two, we could see a spike of deaths where the morbidity rate or the fatality rate for the COVID could surpass the flu in a matter of a week or two. So what?
Yeah, but the key is here's the key. But there are certain areas where it's literally mathematically impossible for substitution to account for that. Because if we look at what we can do is we can look at.
Have we seen a huge spike in deaths in the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Total deaths compared to the average total deaths that we would expect. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we could see a change where the morbidity rate is higher because of a spike of death due to COVID. So the fact that it could be somewhat more lethal than the flu because of spike of deaths, so what? It's not a big deal.
Oh, what do you mean it's not a big deal?
No, what it means is that before we had the spike of deaths, right? It could have been that the COVID-19 is not as lethal as a yearly flu for people with pre-existing conditions, and then when the spike of deaths from COVID to people pre-existing, it surpasses the deaths for the mortality rate for the flu. Okay, so what? Big deal.
So I mean, wouldn't it's not. What are we agreeing on? What are
my
we
statement from a week and a half ago? Okay.
Okay.
Right now, before we had the big spike in the deaths. Okay, so we have a big spike of deaths, and the stats change. So what?
Okay, so I just want. Oh, that's fine. I just want to know.
My whole issue is that the biggest problem are people with pre-existing conditions. That's the big problem.
Okay. Do you have? I just want to know because you see.
I don't quite understand why he keeps on bringing this up. I don't understand at all. Where is it? There it is. Why does he keep on bringing up the pre-existing conditions? Is he saying is Gestapo Gary trying to say that if anybody has any pre-existing conditions, they cannot be counted in as a COVID death? Is that what he's trying to say? Because if he's trying to say that, then he has no place sitting there and directing how the whole disease works, and he knows nothing. He knows nothing about anything, because everything he knows about is fiction. And regarding this pandemic, he is clueless, absolutely clueless. He's just a narcissistic, pompous punk who is trying to maintain his false self-elevated stature. You know, he thinks he's so above everybody else. So yeah, this is Darth Dawkins. Wow. I mean, it's been almost an hour of this. Does anybody really want to hear any more? There is another hour to go. Sorry, take that back. There's another. There's another hour to go. Yeah, exactly. Sorry about that, but it's in 2 bits. I had to add them together. So tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want to do. You want to carry on listening to this? Because I'm going to go make toast. And I can either keep it playing for you special people out there. And I'm not even sure why I shouldn't just keep it playing for you special people out there. I'm just getting hungry. That's all. All right. Sorry. A hunger panic attack.
Because here's the thing, like I am not convinced that there's any discrepancy in flu disease substitution based on how cause of death reporting is done compared to COVID-19 deaths. I just wondered, do you have any like reference or source for like any comparative analysis for disease substitution? If this can be said, the whole narrative that people are dying of COVID, with COVID and not of COVID.
What do you mean of or with?
So yeah, sure. So when I say people are dying, when someone says people are dying with COVID, it means that someone had a pre-existing condition, and that is really what killed them, and not COVID. Even though
that's another problem of the recording. What the cause of death is.
Sure, but a couple of things with that. The first, my contention is that I don't see any reason to believe that that's happening any differently between that and the flu. So this happens with both the flu and with COVID. So you see it all the time. And someone gets the flu, they have heart disease, and the flu pushes them over. The flu causes whether it's CHF exacerbation or CVD.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And even if it doesn't, there could be cases where it doesn't, and it's just put on the cause of death. And by cause of death, it doesn't necessarily mean that heart disease wasn't put on the cause of death.
Yeah, just remember, you said 60,000 deaths by August 4th.
Yes, correct.
I'm going to remember that.
Sure. I hope you do. I hope we have a chance to, in fact, I think I'm friends with you already. Let me send you a friend request. Yeah, I mean, look, and just to be clear, I'll be happy to be wrong. Like if I'm wrong, I'll be happy to. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. COVID deaths, and you're saying 30,000 or less, not more than 30,000 is what you said.
I don't think we'll even see that.
Okay.
I personally, in my pompous opinion, I think we've seen the spike.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you my reasoning for why I think that we still would. So even if it's true that we see the spike, it's not a symmetrical up spike and down spike. So you're not going to see, if you graph the rate of death over time, what you don't see in pandemics, you don't see an up spike, you don't see it go up and then go down as quickly as it go up. So it's not going to be time symmetric. So you can't just go, if we already hit the spike, you're not going to just go 18,000 multiplied by 2 and that gives you your total deaths.
But you know what's funny about this whole discussion?
What's funny?
Is that you believe in
Are we
that
going
there's
precept?
no, you believe that there's continuity that you can appeal to as an agnostic.
I knew we were going precept. Okay, so we can talk about that. Sure, we can talk about that. Right now, let's stick to COVID. Let's, for the sake of the argument, I'll just do the same thing we did before. For the sake of the argument, I'm a Christian. I accept the Bible, and I have a foundation.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, but for the sake of the conversation, we're having the conversation as if it were. Anyway, the issue is it's not a symmetrical up spike and down spike. So it's what you're not going to be able to do is, Darth, you're not going to be able to take 18,747 and multiply it by 2 to get 37,000. Even if you were to do that, you would get more than what you said, which is 30,000, by the way. But you can't do, even that wouldn't work because the tail the tail is a long end curve.
Here's my attitude as a non-medical professional, but somebody who has a brain. We've had repeated gross exaggerations, right? By the news media. We've had, doomsday scenarios. We've had the government, the CDC, at the outset saying this is going to be trivial. Then they say millions of deaths. So you know what? I don't trust them. Okay, their prognostications have been wrong time and time and time and time again.
Why do you think you came to 30,000? I just want to know, like, what brought you to say no more than 30,000? Did you have any analysis?
I personally, no. I think it's very clear that I'm not sitting poring over medical data left and right like Fauci is at the CDC. I'm just going based upon the articles that I read, what I listen to on the news. It's my opinion as a layman that what we've seen is the spike. Okay, and then the death rate is going to decline here on out through the rest of the spring and the summer.
And you think based on that, it follows that we'll see no more than 30,000 total deaths in the United States?
I don't think we'll see more than 30,000.
Okay, and you don't have an analysis or any source for that, as you just said.
Have I made a claim?
No, you haven't. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
No, I was just asking
my biased opinion as a layman.
Okay, cool. So if no more than 30,000, you are correct by August 4th. If more than 30,000 but less than 60,000, neither of us are correct. If 60,000 or greater, then if 60,000 or greater,
I'm looking here at a chart on the Google page. New York 13,000.
Wait, but Darth, real quick.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
New York, okay, 13,000. Okay, then we have New Jersey, 92, Michigan 5, Massachusetts 4,000, California.
Wait, what are you looking at, Darth? What chart?
No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I should be looking at deaths. I look at the wrong column. Okay, New York.
I can give you deaths. New York 7,844, New Jersey
1,700, Michigan, Massachusetts. Okay, look. So the overwhelming majority of deaths is. The epicenter is New York State and probably New York City. Now, those number of deaths are not spread out through the entire state. Its epicenter is New York City.
Specifically,
would you agree with that?
The parts of New York City around Manhattan, not in Manhattan, but sure, yeah.
Right. So we're seeing. So if we take a look at 18,000 deaths, so. Out of the 18,000, 7,000 has been in the epicenter of New York. That's a huge chunk.
Yeah, but that wouldn't. Yeah, sure. But even if you assume a down spike and an up spike for every one of these states and just summate them, you would still get more than 30,000.
Do you see that we're going to have the stats, the number of daily deaths keep on going up and up and up and up in New York State?
No, but I think that you would get. It's pretty clear that you'd get over 30,000, even if that weren't the case.
Now, why do you think we have such a huge amount of people? Look at on the chart here on that Google page. Okay, we have the population of New York State, I don't know if it's that much larger than New Jersey. Okay, and New Jersey is even more densely populated per square mile than the people in New York. Okay, and yet we have 6,000 more deaths in New York than in Jersey. Why do you think that is? What could explain that?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of geographic issues that would explain that. There's population density in New York City.
Has anything to do with Chinese tourists and immigrants?
In terms of the initial spread, I think the initial bringing of COVID to this country was clearly from a Chinese immigrant, or it may not be an immigrant. It may be. Wait, hold on. Let me just finish my thought. To answer your question, I think it was from either an American coming back from China or a Chinese immigrant coming from the initial spread. I don't know if it's because of, once that happens, and I haven't seen any evidence to think it was because of Chinese tourism within the country that's been happening already. That's not from China, unless you're talking about ongoing Chinese.
Look at this.
Yeah, go ahead.
New York, 7,000 dead. New Jersey, 1,700. Michigan, 1,200. Massachusetts, 599. Pennsylvania, 400. I'm going to round these numbers up, by the way. Pennsylvania, 400. I mean, the numbers of deaths are trivial in all these other states, with the exception of Texas, Massachusetts. Excuse me, I looked at the wrong number there.
No. Texas is also trivial. Yeah.
No, hold on. Let me just. No, I looked at the wrong column for a second here. Okay, so that was my mistake. The number of deaths in other states are trivial in comparison to the number of deaths in Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York. New York is
but even
vast. New York accounts for the greatest plurality of deaths.
But Darth, I just still don't understand why you're coming to 30,000, even if all of that is true. Like, if I were to,
I already answered. I said because I believe that because the majority of deaths, okay, the greatest plurality is in New York City, and I believe that's due to the geographical conditions and the ethnic population of Chinese that are centered there. Okay, and now we've seen a pretty much a tapering off of the deaths in New York City. They're starting to taper off and they're starting to decline. Okay, so the vast majority, the greatest plurality, is New York State, not anywhere else. That's why I.
Well, it's a plurality, not a majority. Wait, just to be clear, it's a plurality. It's not a majority.
That's why I said plurality.
Yeah. So even if that's true, though, so let's take that to be true.
Okay, why are we having the plurality of deaths in New York? Why is that?
We can have that conversation. I just want to know before we have that conversation.
They're all leftist Democrats? I don't think so.
Before we have that conversation, it's because they're all atheists. Darth. That's what it is. God's punishing them.
There you go.
So real quick. So even if that's all true, we can say that, we can grant that all. We could, and let's just say, and furthermore, we could grant that every single state, which by the way hasn't peaked yet. Let's just say every state has peaked right now, and New York peaked yesterday. Let's just say that. Even if that's true, the only way you get to 30,000 is if you think the decrease in the rate of deaths are going to be a steeper decrease than the increase in rate of deaths. Which
I think that, because I think what's going to happen is there's going to be widespread use of the hydroxychloroquine.
Okay. So that would account for it. But you realize that in every other, if it pans out, if hydroxychloroquine pans out as a very good drug and it pans out to decrease the deaths with widespread use, then you can see a sharper rate of decrease. Mm-hmm. I just want to point out one thing, that I don't believe we've ever seen any widespread pandemic that has had that kind of curve to date. Virtually every pandemic that we've seen has had a characteristic where the upslope is steeper than the downslope. That's the only thing. It would be very novel for it to be the other way around.
Well, we'll see. We'll see August 4th.
Is there a reason why you're confident in hydroxychloroquine being that effective?
Well, because of all the news articles reporting the successes of people being treated.
Okay. Do you think that these might just be, maybe they're just anecdotes, and that maybe they're not reporting the cases where they treated it and it didn't work out so well?
Is that possible? Yes. Do I think that's a case? No.
Okay, so it's not based on any data, as you've said. It's based on the news articles reporting successful treatment.
No, I told you I'm not approaching this because I'm a researcher. This is my opinion as a layman.
Okay.
And given the fact that the people who are quote unquote the experts have been wrong time and time again on all of their prognostications.
So it's based on the anecdotal news reports, as you said.
It's based upon reading a number of articles about how many doctors have had so many patients improving who were very severely sick, and when they got it, they started improving within a very short period of time.
Right. That's what an anecdote is.
But I'll tell you this. At least I don't have egg on my face like the CDC does and Fauci with their non-stop fail prognostications.
Okay. So I'll just point out that what you've described is all those different things. Those are different.
You said you're in New York. Who's your congressman?
Yeah. Why does that? What's the relevance of that?
I just want to know who your congressman was. I mean, I take it you're in, Manhattan. I'm not looking for personal information.
Yeah, sure. But I just want to see what the relevance of that.
Yeah,
because
without doxing myself. I'll tell you why. Because a lot of the congressmen from New York City were a part of the impeachment push, whereas we could have shut the borders off if Trump wasn't being distracted by these unconstitutional impeachment attempts. Okay.
Sure. So New York's 4th congressional district would be Kathleen Rice.
Say that again.
Kathleen Rice from New York's 4th congressional district.
I take it she's a Democrat.
You'd be correct. She's a Democrat.
Yeah. Just be glad it's not AOC.
No, it's not AOC. Okay, so just to be clear, that what you've described, that is those are anecdotal. The news reports would be anecdotal. They're not in the context of the study, as you've said. So it's based on the anecdote.
Yeah, and I'm not making any claim to scientific expertise. Never have.
Okay, but do you think that your projection? Do you think your projections would be more accurate than what the experts are saying now, because they've been wrong before?
I think that they've shifted from trivializing it to fear mongering, and because I tend to be more optimistic about that stuff, that's why I come to those conclusions.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things I'll also add is that the death rate does depend on how we behave. As I'm sure you know, the total deaths that we're going to end up with, it's not set in stone just because of the intrinsic functions of the virus. It really does depend on how we operate. I don't think you'll disagree with.
I watched one guy on a videotape. That's all he deals with is coronavirus patients, and in the I forget what the doctor's name was. He said it's his view. He said if you're a hand washing Nazi and don't touch your face, he said you have a 99% certainty of not getting it.
Okay, I would like to see where he's getting that from, and the reason I say that is because that's a statement from. I mean, without pointing out that that's a statement from authority. I'm not accusing you of appealing to authority. He didn't say it was true because of that.
Don't get me wrong. I perfectly agree with the protocol wearing face masks just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, because
it can't hurt. It's the cheapest way of
because the thing is, I just wanted to point out, like, just because you wash your hands and don't touch your face, the droplets that are in the air can linger for up to 3 hours. That coronavirus is in.
Yeah, I understand that. But
So I don't know how it gets to 99.
Well, he's somebody who deals with it on the front lines. Okay?
Well, that's just an appeal to authority. I mean, I'm presenting, I'm giving you reasons, and you've given me enough.
No, that's not the fallacy of appeal to authority. That's somebody who is directly in his field. You then if that's a guilty of appeal to authority, then you're guilty of committing an appeal to authority when you claim that, because you're a doctor and you're used to doing studies, things like that. Well, that's an appeal to authority.
Well, no, I didn't say so. I didn't say that. Just to be clear, my claim is not that any proposition that I'm making is correct in virtue of my expertise. I'm saying that I'm just giving you this information just so.
No, you're saying that you're an authority because of your background in data evaluating.
Yeah, but that's.
Data. Okay.
But I'm not saying. But here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you should trust my evaluation of data because of that. I'm just saying that it happens. Well, the reason that whole conversation started is because you started asking me questions about. To be honest, you started asking me questions about my authority.
I watched the guy. The guy's not saying you shouldn't wear face masks. He said he felt that the number one transmission source is not the air, but touch. People getting it on their hands, touching their face. It wasn't to ridiculing the idea that it can be potentially transmitted through the air. I certainly agree with that.
I just don't see how that's 1% though. I just would like, maybe it is. I'd like to see some analysis on that rather than just his opinion.
Somebody who that's all his patients are COVID patients.
Right, but that would be anecdotal then. That would, yeah. I mean, I don't, and also he doesn't. I don't even know if he did. Did he do an analysis?
Of course, it's anecdotal. Nobody's claiming that there's a widespread study that's been done.
Okay, so there's fine. Then if it was just then if you fine. So yeah, that's fine. If you're just saying
same thing with Fauci.
By the way, who is this person? Who is this person who said 99?
I don't remember what his name was. It was on one of the news sites that they had the video. I forget his name. I didn't bother to bookmark or anything like that.
Do you remember which news site it was?
No, I don't. It could have been Breitbart, could have been Gateway Pundit, it could have been Daily Wire, it could have been the Daily Caller.
I'm just trying to look it up right now.
Right. Well, so we'll see. August 4th.
Okay, and two things we agreed on. So we agreed on seeing on August 4th. And we also agreed that you will stop making the claim about 150, that the deaths for people who have no pre-existing conditions are 150 because we've established that data came from China.
Well, I don't know that that's not true. But
that's not what I said. I didn't say it's not. I didn't say you're going to say it's not true. I said you're going to stop claiming that it is the case.
Oh, I think it is the case that the overwhelming majority of people who are dying have pre-existing conditions.
But that's a different proposition. That's a different proposition. The proposition specifically,
we have a stat of a questionable source, but the stat is at least consistent with a general principle that you and I would agree on.
Sure, but you agreed that. But again, with respect to the proposition, even if it is consistent, like you could 149 is also consistent. 100 and
so the bottom line is but the most important thing is we agree. The vast majority of people who are dying, especially in New York City.
Sure, I agree with that for the vast majority, I think, of infections. But the thing is, just real quick, we agree that you're not going to claim 150 number anymore, and you're not going to posit that as okay. Good.
No, but I will continue to cite what is widely known that the vast majority of people have. They have hypertension, heart disease, diabetes. They're immune compromised.
Sure, no one disagrees with that. Yeah, that I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you on that. The 100, yeah. So we just agree that you'll stop doing the 151 from the China data. Okay, cool. And then we'll see on August.
I don't have a problem with that.
All right, cool. And then we'll see on August 4th or earlier, depending on what the numbers are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The times I will contact you. Well,
No,
Do you
I'll
want
be
to talk
around.
about?
You don't have to contact me. I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, cool. Do you think containment measures are effective in preventing loss of life?
Um, what kind of containment measure?
Like telling people to avoid unnecessary travel, staying at home whenever possible, not closing the schools down, not going, not trying to working remotely instead of working in the office.
I think that it's better to err on the side of caution temporarily, but I don't
Okay.
think that we should destroy our economy over this.
Okay. So you agree that the temporary, basically, you would be in favor of like a temporary sort of lockdown situation?
Yeah, but not much longer than
Okay.
what's been going on.
Oh, that surprises me. That pleasantly surprised me. I thought you would be in complete disagreement with
No,
lockdown measures.
No, I think some of these lunatic pastors you're seeing on the news holding church services. I'm glad they got arrested.
Okay. Oh, that I wouldn't expect to hear. Okay. Well, I'm pleasantly surprised that that's your position.
Why would that surprise you?
No, because it just seemed like the tone that when I heard the clip of the video.
No, dude,
I
when
don't know
I
if it
go to
was-
the supermarket, I go to the supermarket a couple of times a week, right? I don't go there once a week because I'm scared. When I'm there, I use the hand sanitizer. When I get home, I thoroughly wash my hands and I make sure I don't touch my face. Okay,
Okay.
it's not like
Yeah, no, I understand.
it's not like I think that the coronavirus is trivial.
Yeah. Okay. So what we'll see. Okay. So I just still want to make sure that I understand you're not going anywhere. I'm not accusing you of going anywhere, but I'll make sure that we're friends. Just because the times I'll contact you, it will either be on August 4th for this, or if it passes 30,000, at which point you would be incorrect, and I would be either possibly correct or possibly incorrect. And if it passes 60,000,
and if I'm wrong and it hits 35, 40,000 or higher, I'll eat my crow broiled with cheese.
well, don't do that. That's not vegan.
Well, I'm not a vegan, so
I still have to. I understand you're not a vegan, but still, like, the less the better. Anyway, so we could do that.
I love my cheese. I love my cheeseburgers.
Yeah. So so it seems like you do think that this is a bit more serious than the flu based on that. I mean, you wouldn't take these measures for the flu, right? I mean, you wouldn't tell people
only in certain geographical parameters.
Okay.
We're not seeing in the rest of the country the same kind of problem that we're seeing like in New York State.
Gotcha. Do you think just New York City should be taking these measures?
I think for the rest of the country where they have a trivial amount of counts, I think that they shouldn't be doing that. But they should be encouraging maybe social distancing, but I don't think they should be mandating it in remote regions where this is not a problem. In geographical areas like New York City, where it's a big problem. Yeah, sure.
Okay. And encouraging social distancing, would you say the same thing for the flu, for these regions, which don't have high death count?
No, because we're so accustomed to it. It's just like car crashes. We don't mandate people wearing helmets.
Okay. And so if we were just accustomed to the COVID deaths, if this just became a yearly thing, you would say the same?
I think a part of the hysteria is because this we're not accustomed to it.
And so if we were accustomed to the COVID deaths,
a couple years from now, if we had the same stats year and year, people would just get used to it.
And you would say that we would just continue then. We would just because we're accustomed to it.
No, I think by that time the treatment protocols are going to be well underway and efficacious. I think a year or two from now, they're going to, I mean, and I think you'll probably agree, a year or two from now, they'll probably have a vaccine. They'll probably have, in my view, I think that, the hydroxychloroquine is going to be shown to be effective in large numbers. And if not that, something else. This will just become just like the flu in a year or two. Because it's new. But those Chinese love to eat those bats.
It's likely worse than that. It's likely this started in the wet market.
But you're not coming through. You're lit up, but you're not coming through. You probably want to leave and re-enter Discord.
Helps when my mic's plugged in.
Why does Abby have a picture of a woman? Anyone want to explain that?
Darth, didn't you see my picture?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was going to ask you about that. What's the deal?
We've transitioned.
Oh, okay. I'm back. Okay, sorry, I cut out. So basically, what I was saying is that we seem to already be in flu territory, as you said, with the 20,000, with the coronavirus deaths. We're already at 18 and change. And you seemed to be okay. You seem to be an advocate of the social distancing measures with the coronavirus, but not with the flu. So then I asked you why one and not the other. And then you said because we were used to it. And my question is then, if we were used to the coronavirus deaths, would you say the same thing? Would you say that we should not be social distancing?
Eventually, people would be that way because they're not willing to sacrifice their lifestyle and the economy for that.
And would you agree with that?
I think the implementation of social distancing is because this is brand new, and there's a lot unknown about how far, how fast, and how widespread there's going to be deaths.
Okay.
The flu, we know a lot of parameters about it. This we don't know. At least compared to the flu, we don't know as much. So
Yes,
if we don't know things, that we should err on the side of caution. But once we know what the normal outcome is going to be, the restrictions, they're not going to have the same rules for social distancing. People are not going to allow their lifestyles and the economy to be screwed, because we have something that's similar to the flu, and mostly is killing people with serious conditions.
Okay, so it's for the precaution that this could turn out to be something that's way worse than the flu, basically.
Oh, absolutely. It could be far worse than the flu.
So you seem a lot more open to it being worse than the flu than in the video that I watched. And I understand the stats were different then.
Yeah. But I'm also skeptical of all the doomsday scenarios by the news media. They're just a bunch of horrors. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay,
going on 30, unfortunately.
Since the 1970s, the news media has been doomsdaying everything. Anything and everything, they doomsday it. They exaggerate everything for the purposes of content. And this is no different.
Well, even
not that I'm suggesting that this is trivial. I don't think it's trivial, but I do think that it's been widely exaggerated to be far worse than it is actually turning out to be. And we have proof of that even Fauci's, prognostications have been wrong time and time and time again. And he's the lead man in the country. This is what he gets paid to do. This is what he's been doing for decades. And he's been wrong.
Yeah, it's just that even so, I mean, look, I can go into a couple of things that can explain changes in prediction, because if, predictions look, the things that go into a model assumption are only as good as the assumptions
This is what he does for a
themselves.
living. He thought it would be trivial. He was totally wrong.
No, I understand. I understand.
Then weeks ago, he was saying we were going to have potentially millions of people dead.
I get it. I just think that
thousands of people dead.
I just think that things are a lot clearer now that this is far worse than the flu, because in more and more regions we're starting to see.
Maybe within the last week or so, because of the spike of deaths in New York City, maybe so.
Okay,
but look how fluid everything is, even within 1 week.
Sure, but it seems to be getting more fluid in one direct. I mean,
are we seeing
one direction
anywhere else in the country? No.
Sure. And sure. So you've changed your view then?
Not substantially, no. Only a mod. Why? Well, I mean, the only thing that's really changed is that we've seen a spike of deaths in New York State, and especially in the southern region of New York. So maybe the coronavirus is far more deadly in a combination of factors, and including the geographical parameters and the cultural situation that New York, where it's a hub of Chinese people coming and going from China.
Okay.
Whereas the rest of the country is not.
I don't know. I mean, have you looked at other? Have you looked at the trajectory of these other states over time with their deaths? Because I kind of followed the
prognostications.
No, the trajectory of what's already happened. Like, if you look at what's already happened to the other states in terms of where they seem to be going, so are they?
All these other states, the majority of the other states, they're not even here.
Well, the point I'm trying to make, Darth. Here's the point I'm trying to make. Like, if you look at
Pennsylvania, 400. Pennsylvania, 400.
Yeah, no, I get it. But if you
California, 500 dead. That's it.
I understand.
California.
Yes, I get it. But the point is
that more people dead there.
Sure, there's different countries have different states have different.
Most of the other states aren't even breaking 500, and many of them aren't even breaking 100 dead from corona.
Right, but if you looked at, but those numbers those breakpoints would be even lower if you looked at this in the past. It seems to be increasing across the board, even if some are increasing at slower rates than others.
So what if they're increasing? The point is the numbers are still low. We're seeing the major spike is just simply New York. And then the next highest level, okay, New York has the highest death rate, 7,000. The next highest is New Jersey with 1,700. Then Michigan, 1,200. Then Massachusetts, it dropped down in half. And then it drops down by 100. Okay, California, 500. Louisiana, 700. Florida, 400. These numbers are trivial compared to New York. Obviously, there's something unique about New York. It's not just the coronavirus itself. It's got to be other contributing factors that is causing the spread and reaching these people.
Darth, real quick, you said Fauci. Did you say Fauci claimed that there would be 1 million coronavirus people who are dead? Like, people are dead.
I read reports that he was predicting that there would be over 1 million.
The only things I remember him saying 10 million if we did absolutely nothing. And then I don't remember him saying 1 million.
10 million. If we
do you have any like? Do you remember? Do you have like a source or anything like saying that he said 1 million?
Not that I can remember off the top of my head. All I know is this guy has been wrong. I've read articles about past prognostications that he's made.
Because I remember
recently, but other things he's been wrong time and time.
Yeah, because I remember the million was been cases. Like U.S. has seen millions of cases, and he gave 100,000 coronavirus deaths. He said that. I don't remember him ever saying that we will see 1 million deaths. I don't think he's ever said that. He has said they can see 10. I think he has seen 10 million and he stipulated it if we did absolutely nothing to prevent the spread. But I don't think he said that we would see 1 million.
Given his track record, I find him completely untrustworthy.
Okay. I would just like to see where he said that. Yeah.
It's not that I'm anti-experts. Okay, I'm not anti-experts, but experts can be dead on. They can be dead wrong. Sometimes models are very accurate. Sometimes models are way off. Take a look at Francis. You ever know Francis Collins?
I've heard of Francis Collins. Yeah.
Francis Collins used to be the head of the Human Genome Project. He's over at the is he at the NI National Institutes of Health? I think he's over there now.
What about him?
He wrote in his book on DNA. He said that the overwhelming majority of DNA was junk. Okay. And
Okay, but
he's the lead scientist in mapping the genome. And it turns
well,
out
I don't. Let's can we just yeah, but that's germane to the topic at hand. Like, what do you think? Let's get specific things. Like, what do you think Dr. Fauci was wrong about? Because there's some things I may agree with you about, but I don't know. Like, I've just found one thing that I don't agree with you about.
I couldn't quote you the exact stats, but the articles that I've read is that he in his career he is prone to making many wrong prognostications.
Okay, can you give me some examples of those prognostications that were wrong?
Not at the moment. Okay, he made wild prognostications when it comes to when AIDS came along on the scene.
Okay. Why do you?
If you want to give me the actual stats, I'd have to go back to the articles.
Okay, yeah, no, I actually would like. I'd like to see some sort of reasons for saying that he's like just widely off on his prognostications, because that's important. Like, if he is, I'd like to know about it. I'd like to know why you think that.
Well, you have the power of Google.
No, but listen, I've so far when you've said these things, like, I've been Googling them, Darth, and I've been tracking down, like when you said the 150 thing, I did Google and I tracked down the source and I tracked down the source of the source, and it turned out to be China.
So okay, fine. But my attitude was, I didn't say that stat was wrong because it came from China. I just said when information comes from China, I tend not to believe it because they have a long history of lying.
Right.
Okay.
But you may not believe these things
right,
also.
Okay. Right. So the point is, it doesn't mean that it's false. It means that I have less confidence in it. But that doesn't change the fact that the overwhelming majority of people who get it, okay,
no, we agreed on that. Yeah.
Okay.
We agreed.
The majority of people that are being hospitalized and are dying are people who are really sick to begin with.
We agreed. But then my question is now, like, so we agree that yes, it could be true, it could be not true. It's just we have less confidence to believe it. My question just be at this point is, why do you think there's confidence to believe that Dr. Fauci has just such a strong track record of messing things up, if you can't provide any sources or any instances where he's completely messed up? I mean, you would think there would be some kind of like
what you're doing is, I'm generalizing based upon previous articles that I've read days or weeks ago of stuff that is past. I'm not doing a dissertation, a thesis or a dissertation, nor am I a medical researcher. Okay, I'm giving you my opinion about what I've read. Okay?
Can you give one example?
That he made wild predictions about how far and how fast AIDS would spread.
What did he say about AIDS?
He said that it would spread to far greater parameters than it did.
What parameter did he say it would spread to?
I couldn't give you the exact numbers. I think you're being at this point a bit ridiculous. Okay. The fact of the matter is, it's not too difficult to find that he has made prognostications in the past that turned out not to be true.
Okay, I'm not contending that. I'm asking you for just an example. But okay,
I just gave you an example.
I don't think you've told me.
How about prognostications with the spread of the corona?
What has he prognosticated with the spread of corona?
That there would be far greater spread of it in terms of people being hospitalized and dying from it.
Has he? Because he's the numbers I have.
We're repeating the same stuff all over again. Okay.
I'm just asking you for what his claim was.
I just generalized what his claim was. Okay.
That there were.
Do you want me to quote him verbatim right now? No, I can't quote him verbatim at the moment.
Okay. Because the reason, I mean, look, I'm not trying to be.
If I was that interested in it, I would go and research it. But it doesn't interest me that much.
Okay. Can you give me like a general ballpark of what his claim was?
Wow, you're just clueless, are you?
I mean, the reason I'm asking the answer is you can't. Okay. I mean, the reason I'm asking is because
no, I can if I decided that I wanted to go Google it, but it doesn't interest me that much. All I know is that he's suspect because of his past prognostications. If it interests you that much, you can go look up his past prognostications.
Okay, just to be clear, you know such because of his past prognostications that you
yeah, you're
can't
beating
give me any examples.
You're beating a dead horse. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if that will violate your vegan position. I don't know. Can vegans beat dead horses? Well, you wouldn't eat a dead horse, but you're beating a dead horse.
So okay, so
I think we're.
I have no problem looking into the track record of Dr. Fauci, because the reason I'm asking you, this is because like with his COVID projections, so far based on the things he said, I don't think they were crazy off. I've heard the things I've heard him say were that, well, the only thing I disagree with him on, just to be clear, when he said it was not dangerous in the beginning, I do disagree with him on that when no one knew anything. So I did this. Of course, I disagree with him that. Of course, hindsight's 2020. But with the other projections, when he said 10 million dead if we do absolutely nothing, I don't think that was unreasonable if we did absolutely nothing. When he said
10 million people,
if we did absolutely nothing, which no country, not even Sweden, is doing absolutely nothing. So the other thing he said was around 100,000 to 200,000, and if it comes to 60,000 or more, I think it wouldn't even be that off.
Can you give me where's that stat from?
Sure. Where that projection, you mean?
No, I'm being facetious.
Okay. No, I can't. No, I can. Here, I can tell you where Fauci said that. I can give you.
The point is also, have you seen the reports where when there are liberal reporters going after Trump during the press conference, and he gives them the signal right on when he left the press room? Have you noticed that?
What do you mean?
He did that. He did that a couple of times.
The signal.
Yeah, he gave a signal like right on, good move to one or more of the reporters that was going after Trump. I don't trust this. I don't trust this guy.
Okay. Okay. I just wish I would like to.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be beating the dead horse. Yeah, I just wish I had an example. Like
you and I have made our predictions. You know, I said that I think we'll see less than 30,000.
Can I ask you one more question?
I don't even think we'll see.
Sure. Let's say we're the let's say, because I can keep going on the Fauci thing, but I don't want to piss you off. Look, we made our predictions. We agreed that the 150 is something you're not gonna. It could be true, but it's not something you're gonna have confidence in anymore. With the Fauci thing, I'm happy to look it up. I haven't heard any examples of what he claimed that you disagree with. Although we can go into the specifics later, because you don't seem to be, you think, look, the dead horse and everything. But and the other thing, though, just last question is, let's say politically. I just want you to imagine a world where this was switched, where like the Democrats were generally on the bearish side of this, and the Republicans were on the bullish side of this. In terms of the death rates, like the Republicans would say that this is, the Republicans were all saying, and Trump was saying, this is going to be like really, really bad, far worse than the flu. And the Democrats are like, oh, Trump, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is going to be like really a nothing with nothing kind of thing.
Is there a point that you're getting to?
The point I'm getting to is I just want to see if there's any kind of like political coloring infecting your interpretation of where you think things are going to go. That's where I'm going. So the question for that is,
no, I don't think so.
Okay. So basically, if Trump were the one saying that, this is going to be 60,000 plus, and all the Democrats were saying, this is going to be 30,000 or less, you would be like, the Democrats are right on here.
No. This is my opinion has nothing to do with who's the president.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, someone wants to ask. Mary wants to ask you if you wear a mask when you go to the supermarket.
Who's Mary?
She's someone who's in the server. Let's see.
Is she a mod?
She used to be a mod.
Is she in here?
I'm not sure. I don't see her in the
Well, how do you know that Mary asked the question?
Because she messaged me.
Okay. Is this the Mary that I've dealt with as a mod in here before?
I don't know. I don't know if you have, but do you
send me?
Oh, she's in the room above.
She's in the room above. Under what name?
Misanthropic.
Yeah, send her a message. Tell her I think she's a scumbag.
Okay.
She's a punk, sleazy scumbag. That's my answer.
What has she done?
That's nice. That's nice for a Christian to say. What has she done? Ooh, let's find out. Punk, sleazy scumbag for doing what? I hope you find out.
You can ask her.
You can ask her. She's a punk, sleazy scumbag. Why? You can ask her.
Oh, okay.
She's a piece of crap.
She's a piece of crap. Why? You can ask her.
All right. Well, I wish you a good Christian day or Christian night, and
okay. Right.
And I guess we'll keep track of the numbers, and we'll have a part 2. Yeah.
If you're right, I'll gladly admit that I was wrong.
Spoiler alert, there's a part 2. It's not nearly as long as this one, but there's one coming up.
And it will be through God's revelation that he gave me without me knowing it that I was right and you were wrong.
Well, knowing anything
exactly.
at all is revelatory of God, because of every fact is revelatory.
Right. So it would, if I'm right and you're wrong, it would be through God's revelation.
Well, if you know something, it ultimately is rooted in God's revelatory actions and creation.
Oh,
even being an atheist.
He makes an excuse.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So if I'm right,
atheist, even Van Til talks about.
Yeah, really, Daniel.
Can, study the creation and come to discover certain truths and know things about creation, even though they're in denial that it's God's creation.
Yeah, right. So me being right and you being wrong would be ultimately rooted in God's revelation.
Of course, just like you knowing anything would.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll message Mary, letting her know what you said.
You tell her my answer is that she's a scumbag.
Who's Mary?
Okay. All right, I'll tell her.
And why is she a scumbag?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll have a part 2 when the rest of the numbers come in.
Okay, part 2 is about to come up.
All right. Take care, Darth.
All right. Good talking with you.
Darth, I was wondering if you had the time
Part
to.
2.
I mean, I know we have till August 4th when we initially made our bet about the coronavirus deaths, but I was wondering if you had time to discuss where the deaths are now and possibly some of the things you've been saying about the things I've said in our first.
So I can find when this was recorded.
Well, what did you want to discuss?
Well, both of those things. So we made a $5 bet that the coronavirus deaths would exceed 60,000.
Right.
I think it's clear that they have at this point, but we have to.
I don't know that it's clear, because we have actually undercover reports from Project Veritas that some of the states, especially New York, maybe.
Did he say undercover reports from Project Veritas? And why am I disappearing? I'll tell you why I'm disappearing. Because that's why I'm disappearing. Did he say he has undercover reports from Project Veritas? So that's why he questions the 60,000 death figure. What are we at? 800 and something? Oops, that's what I'm trying to do. We're at 800 and something thousand deaths. And he's questioning the 60,000. Oh, the depths of Darth's ignorance. There we go. That makes more sense. Damn.
Cooking the stats to vastly increase the federal funds. Okay.
How can you guys make a bet about deaths?
Please do not interrupt me.
Please do not interrupt. Okay. Are you aware of Project Veritas's undercover work about the death stats?
I'm aware of the argument that
Isn't Project Veritas, didn't they lose their prestige? They were like getting lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. Didn't something happen to them where they're not so pompous anymore? Project Veritas? At least I was following them. Kind of think they were kind of a undercover Christian group. Or an undercover Christian group. Can somebody verify that?
Have you watched any of the videos?
I haven't watched Project Veritas specifically, but I'm familiar with this argument.
We're getting reports from a number of different sources that, especially in the state of New York, that they're attributing many deaths to COVID
many.
that haven't definitively been shown to be COVID.
Yeah. Do you know how many deaths those are?
Many.
No. But the fact of the matter is,
I can show you how many deaths they are.
No, you don't know that, because in hospitals and in reports, they're just putting down it's down to COVID. That if they had respiratory problems, or they thought that they have COVID, or even if they tested positive for COVID, it doesn't mean that they died from COVID.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down, and yes, I do now have all those numbers broken down for you, Darth, and I can show you the data. I can show you how many have been put down on a death certificate in New York with no laboratory confirmed tests. I have those numbers on hand.
If somebody dies in a hospital and they simply test positive for COVID, does that mean that they died of COVID?
Not necessarily, and that's also not necessarily what goes on the death certificate.
How do we know? How do we know? Given the new research from Project Veritas, how do we know how many people actually died from COVID?
Yeah, so I can tell you if you let me.
Yeah, that's the third time you said that.
Well, yeah, no, I can tell you, but you've been interrupting me. So
no, I'm not interrupting you. Go ahead, tell me how you know that.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So the way doctors document this is a misnomer. This dying from COVID versus dying of COVID. It's a misunderstanding of how doctors actually put deaths on the death certificate. So, number one, we'll take it one claim at a time. So regarding the claim that there were individuals who had died without a laboratory confirmed test and had COVID put on the death certificate. There are only 3 states that report those numbers to the CDC. They are New York, they are Maryland, and Wyoming. I can literally forego all of those deaths and grant you all of those deaths, and we will still be over 60,000. And I have that data over here.
What about Minnesota?
Minnesota? So where Minnesota reports non-confirmed
a
$5 bet.
A senator
on death.
A United States senator who hold on.
Should be ashamed of yourself putting a $5 bet on death.
Give me the data. Do you have the data for Minnesota? My understanding is there's only Minnesota can have their own reporting for their own purposes, but my understanding is their own. Hey, 1 second. In terms of the numbers that are reported to the CDC specifically, I'm only aware of 3 states that report numbers to the CDC that don't have laboratory confirmed tests.
Now,
and I have those numbers.
Are you gonna talk over me no matter what?
All right, Tim, hold on. Okay. Now, at the time of our discussion, you came into the room out of the blue, seeking me out, and you said, "Pick a number."
Nope.
Okay.
That's not what happened.
You asked.
I have a recording.
That is
not what happened. You put me on the spot to give you a number first, and that's on recording. And that's one of the things I wanted.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. But you wanted me to pick a number, so I said, I don't know, 25, 30,000. Now. The point is simply this: is at that time, was it widely known that in New York State, which has the bulk of the deaths, the bulk of the death rate, okay, was it known at that time that under New York State orders, nursing home patients who tested positive for COVID, but that were stable, were sent back to nursing homes?
No, and that's why I'm offering.
Right,
that's why I'm
right,
offering.
yeah.
Hold on, wait 1 second. That's why I'm offering to grant you all of those deaths, and I would have still. It would still be over 60,000. Not only it would not only would it be clearly over.
Okay.
Yeah, not only would it be clearly over. Yeah, I can
even if it has. Look, okay, fine. Let's say that you're correct. So what?
Okay, so here's the thing. So, couple things you said. So, first of all, I want to address the thing where you're framing it as I out of the blue sought you out to give you to pick a number. Here's the reason I had a conversation in the first place.
Did you hold on a second? Did you come into this room? That when we had the discussion, did you seek me out, or did I just happen to stroll in over there?
Our first conversation, you weren't in this Discord. You were in the Ask Yourself Discord, which is where I usually am.
No. When you asked me to pick a number, and I said, I don't know, 25, 30,000 tops. Did you come into here seeking me out?
I came here to seek you out, not for that purpose, though. I came here to seek.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, right.
I came here to seek you out because of some of the things you said about coronavirus. Mm-hmm. I wanted to convince you that it was more serious than the way you were talking about it. Now, you told me, you said, quote, first, what you told me was according to your so-called medical expertise, how many deaths do you think?
Stop right there. Please don't lie. When did I make any claim to medical expertise?
I didn't. That's not what I said, Darth. I said according to based on your so-called medical expertise. You're on recording.
Right. When did I say I had medical expertise?
No, I didn't. That's not what I said, Darth. I said.
Oh, you said, Darth, according to your medical expertise.
Nope, that's not what I said. I said what you said. The words you said to me were according to your so-called medical expertise. How many deaths do you think we're going to have?
Do you have a recording of me saying this?
Yes, I do.
Can you play it?
Yeah, we can play the whole conversation if you'd like.
No, I don't want to play the whole conversation. I want to hear you have a recording of me saying that, where I said, according to my medical expertise.
No, I didn't say no, Darth. You're missing.
Yeah, listen, dude, listen to me. I'm not going to have you play little games with me. Please do not overtalk me. Okay. Now, I would never say according to my medical expertise. That is something that I would not affirm. Now, I might say based upon the stuff that I'm reading in the news, I come to such and such conclusion.
If you give me 1 second, like this is really clear misunderstanding. I'm not claiming that you said according to your medical expertise. I'm just saying your words were according to you said according to Avi's. I'll put Avi's in there. According to Avi's.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was your. Okay, thanks. So, according to Avi's so-called medical expertise, how many deaths does Avi think we're going to see? That's what you said. That's how the conversation started. Now, I gave you my figure. Said, okay. And I clarified also that it was 60,000. I said 60,000 by August 4th. And then I clarified that it was 60,000 or more. Then you laughed. You thought it was absurd.
Yeah, I did.
Give me 1 second. I have a work-related call.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Out of curiosity, you guys, look at this guy. He's coming on Darth, telling him this when Dr. Fauci, who's supposed to be renowned scientific mind and knows shit, was sitting there saying and predicting 2.2 million deaths.
Yeah. He originally Fauci originally said no. Fauci, who's done this for a living, originally said we weren't going to, it wasn't going to be a big problem here. Then he completely flipped and talked about the problem getting up into the millions. Okay. Now, when you come in here and you ask me to pick a number, okay, right off the top of my head without doing extensive data research, and I said, I don't know, 25, 30,000. Okay, you're back now.
All right, so let me finish.
Let me ask you this question: when Fauci's initial statement about the danger that it posed, did he not initially trivialize it?
I don't see how that's relevant to our conversation. We can talk about.
Okay, listen to me. if you're not going to be an honest player, if I ask you a legitimate question, then we're going to end the conversation. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
So
did not Fauci? Do not listen, dude. Dude, if you're a medical doctor, act like an educated man. Okay, instead of some schmuck on the vegan server. Now, did Fauci, with all of he spent a lifetime in specializing in this, did he not originally predict his first statements, according to articles that I've read weeks or months ago? He stated that it would be trivial. Then he flipped and said the problem would get as high as infection rates in the millions and millions of people.
He changed his view.
Right. Was he wrong on both of those extremes?
He was wrong on one of those extremes. He was wrong on the extreme that it would be trivial. Then he said that it would kill millions if we did nothing about it. And then he said it would be 100 to 200,000.
Yeah. And
he was wrong.
He was wrong. Okay, so you came in here. You came in here seeking me out. Okay, and demanding that I pick a number right at the moment off the top of my head. Okay, so I said, I don't know, 25, 30,000. So from a technical point of view, that was wrong. So what?
Okay, so a couple of things about that, Darth. So first of all, again, the reason I sought you was because I wanted to discuss the coronavirus with you, and I wanted to discuss that it would be worse than the way you were talking about it. You put me on the spot first. The only reason I put you on the spot for your number was because you put me on the spot for my number, and then you thought it was so absurd. So I
didn't put you on the spot. You came in here,
regardless,
seeking not just to casually talk about it, but to not only interrogate me, but specifically for me just to pick a number.
That's what you did to me. That's what you did.
Did you not listen to me? If you're gonna lie, see, I expect more out of you being an educated.
I'm not lying. I have a
okay, you know what? Keep on over talking me and see what happens. Okay. Now, you specifically came in here seeking me out to get me to pick a number, right?
That's wrong.
That really?
I came to seek you out, not to get you to pick a number. That was something that happened in the conversation, but that wasn't.
No, of course, it's very obvious. I remember the conversation vividly. You were the one who were insisting on hard numbers of the death rate. You were the one who brought it up.
You actually brought that up.
No, I may have said, how many do you think? But you specifically came in here trying to trigger me to pick a number so that in the event that it was wrong, you could come back there and go, ha ha ha, you were wrong, right?
I'm not even here to talk about, by the way, I'm not even here to initially talk. I mean, I can have that argument with you. I don't even need to, because.
Why are you here?
My number that I picked. Forget about the number you picked.
Listen to me really quick.
I'm here to collect.
Why are you here right now?
I'm here to collect the debt. I'm here because we made a bet. We made a bet, and I think you lost the bet.
What favorite charity would you like me to send $5 to?
We didn't specify a charity. We specified that it would be. I'd like to pay me the money you owe me.
What? I will send $5 to your charity of choice.
Okay. I didn't.
What charity would you? What charity would you? I know that. Yeah. Well, you don't need the money. I'll send it to a charity. Okay, is that what you're here for? Yeah, is that what you're here for?
That's one of the things I'm here for. But the main thing I'm here for.
Okay, what's the main thing?
Yeah, the main thing is that I think you've misframed the conversation that we discussed about, and also
before you move.
How did I misframe it?
Darth, can I offer? It's Isaac. Ask yourself. Can I offer something?
No, you may not. Okay, how did I misframe the conversation?
Yeah. So the first thing you're leaving out is that you were cocksure about. You're saying you're not cocksure about your guess, but what you were cocksure about was that I would be wrong. That I would be wrong when I said 60,000. You clearly were. You laughed hysterically about it.
I didn't laugh hysterically, but I did think that we would not reach those numbers. And by the way, I still believe those numbers are greatly exaggerated by false death reports from the COVID. Does New York State and other states like Michigan, if they record more COVID dates, do they get significantly more money to hospitals and to the state coffers from the federal
If
government?
they record more COVID deaths, no. If they record COVID ICD codes for diagnosis and treatment, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Deaths,
and
no. They do not get enough deaths.
so they have a motivation to stack the decks of how many COVID hospitalizations are because they get more money, right?
Top that off.
I can
Top that off.
grant
Are
you.
these three
I
are the
can
three
grant you.
biggest
Okay,
states?
I can
Are
grant
these-
you.
So do we have?
I
So
can
do we
grant
have a reason? Okay, good. So these stats, okay, are could be greatly exaggerated because they want to reap in a windfall from the federal government.
You know, I could grant you those deaths, and I'm still going to win this bet, if not already won. Like this is why
Wait a minute. Did I say that my prediction was correct?
You said, wait, no, you're saying that you're denying that my prediction was correct.
Okay. Now let's say that it is. So what?
Well, so what is you said you would eat.
Yeah, that's right. I was wrong. Are you getting a hard on now from that?
Well, to be honest with you, when you seem so cocksure of yourself and you were making fun of me and laughing at me and all of that, to be honest, it does. Yeah. To be honest,
and you want to know something? Given the fact that had I known that if I had not known those two stats about them cooking the stats and sending people back to all these nursing homes, okay, then I would have thought otherwise. Okay, so it's no big deal.
Sir, you said it was absurd. You said it. You said that.
Yeah, if had I known they'd not been sending all these people back to nursing homes and them, giving the diagnosis so the hospitals get more and more money and the state gets more money. From that point of view, I thought it is absurd.
But I could grant you those deaths. That's only only 5,000 deaths at the outer.
Okay, all right. Okay, now listen here. I'll make you happy. Okay, my number that I picked off the top of my head when you came in here seeking me out without me looking into any of the data or the stats, okay, and then you picked a number, okay, so I was wrong. So what? Are you getting a hard on now?
So what was? Yeah, here's the so what, because you keep telling about it was just a guess. So what? You said, and I don't know any other interpretation of this idiom. You said, if I am wrong, I'll take my crow broiled with some cheddar cheese. Now it's an idiom, which means
Did you hear? Hold on a second. Are you hard of hearing? I will concede to you, okay, that you're right. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So and just to be clear, what we're conceding that the COVID deaths have passed 60,000. Correct.
For the sake of discussion, I will concede to you.
That's not wait. That's a conditional. For the sake of discussion, isn't a concession. But that's
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
So what I wanted to discuss was that I take issue with your framing of what I did because I don't think I did what you're saying I did.
Did you come in here seeking me out?
Yes, but not to put you on the spot with a number. I only put you on the spot with a number after you asked me for a number and laughed in my face when I gave you the number.
Okay. So you had no inclination to ask me to pick out a number.
When I started the conversation, no, I didn't.
In my recollection, it sure seemed to me that that's what you were after.
That's not what I was after at all.
You kept on asking me how many. Did you not? And if you play back the recording, I said, "Oh, I don't know. You kept on asking me over and over. I said, "Okay, fine. To satisfy you, I picked out a number: 25,000, 30,000." So did you not repeatedly pester me to pick a number?
I may have in the conversation, but that is not.
No, you did. May have. You did. You did.
I did. Sure, but that's not what I said.
So okay, good. So let's get to Avi. I'm gonna make you happy. Okay, I'm gonna make you happy. You were right. I was incorrect. Anything else?
We discussed that. So what I'm telling you is that I did not seek you out to put you on the spot to pick a number. If you play the recording,
okay, you're done. Get out of here. You're a liar.
Are you gonna pay?
You're full of crap. You're done. Okay, you're full of crap.
You know what the worst part is? He showed his true colors. He actually admitted that he was happy that you were wrong. How demented are you to be happy that more people died?
No, for him to sit there, if you play back the recording, he repeatedly was pestering me to pick out a number repeatedly, and I kept on saying, I don't know, and then he said,
Okay, well, Darth, I'm happy to talk about that sometime, but for the sake of you being on a time frame, I say we start a debate. So why don't you open up with your position, and we'll just let you and Unethical go back and forth. I'm probably going to have to dip out of here, so if any of the mods can just make sure they both get to talk, and make sure they both get a final statement whenever they're done.
Yeah, my position on ethical is that the Christian worldview, as revealed by God in natural and special revelation, is the only coherent worldview. The non-acceptance of God's revelation, the Bible, leaves one in a position where they won't be able to have intelligibility in terms of the nature of reality when they speak. That's basically it.
Okay, would you say that the statement God exists is a true statement?
Yes.
Is it true because you just believe it's true, or you derive it from a set of premises? That's tautology.
It's true. It's true because God has revealed that he exists both in natural revelation and special revelation. He's communicated with a number of individuals through the course of human history, and it's been objectively and accurately recorded in the Bible.
So it's not about deducing the claim. Actually, it was both, right? That we have data on that God exists, and you can deduce this from.
Yeah, everything in the universe is evidence of God.
Okay, we can start with the first way, which I would say, if you say you can deduce that claim, the statement, God exists, then I would ask you to first name your premises and then the proof, and we can go into what this proof is later on. But first, what is the premises?
Yeah, the universe is evidence of God. The universe exists. The universe is evidence of God. Therefore, God exists.
Okay.
God is also God has also revealed himself in special revelation, the Bible.
So you had two premises and one conclusion. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I would want to ask you a proof of how you apply this proof on the premises in order so the conclusion follows.
The existence of the Christian God is the necessary precondition for everything, including reason. Premise 2, we can reason. Therefore, the Christian God exists.
Okay, so I don't accept that as a proof. This okay. We can maybe talk about it in details.
What don't you accept? Premise 1, premise 2, or that the conclusion doesn't follow?
No, I don't accept the rules that you.
I said premise 1. The Christian God is the necessary precondition for everything, including reason. Premise 2, we can reason. Therefore, the Christian God exists.
Okay, but what is the rules you're applying? When I'm talking about rules, I'm talking about inference rules. There are standards.
Yeah, the God of the Bible is the necessary precondition for reason. Okay, that's the first premise. That's right. That's my premise.
Yes, but okay. Just to be clear, you have two premises and a conclusion, right? So when I talk about rules, inference rules, I would like to see you apply the standard inference rules on your premises.
Yeah, so I did. It follows since the God of the Bible is the necessary prerequisite for reason. Premise 1. Premise 2, we can reason. Conclusion, therefore God exists.
But now you're just mentioning your premises and conclusion.
Yeah.
So that's not a rule.
No, I said the God of the Bible is the necessary precondition for reason.
That's premise 1.
Premise 1. Premise 2, we can reason. And the conclusion is, therefore, since we can reason, therefore the God of the Bible exists.
So what was the rule that you applied in order to derive the conclusion?
Without the Christian God, we cannot reason. We can reason.
That's just the premise, right?
Right. It follows from the fact that we can reason that the Christian God exists.
Okay. I don't think I should go any further. Sorry.
I think that's got to be the weakest excuse for God I've ever in my whole life ever seen. Seriously. There we go. So, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just getting back from walking my dog. I'll just let her run while I was away. But I came back to hearing that. His premise 1 is totally like made up nonsense. It's not an axiom. It's a ridiculous premise. Congratulations, Darth. He just proved that circles exist. Yes, well said. Well said, Daniel Cooper, sir. Someone should have Darth there all these. Yeah.
Because when I'm talking about like inference rule,
do you reject? Do you listen? Do you know what transcendental reasoning is?
Why does he bring this bullshit in every time?
Transcendental reasoning is not strictly deductive or inductive. In other words, it says for proposition P, Q is necessary for the existence of P. P exists, therefore Q.
Proposition P has to exist,
P
right?
exists, therefore Q. So
Q is the necessary precondition for the existence of P. P exists, therefore Q.
If P exists.
Okay.
Without Q.
Stop shouting!
Without
Stop!
Q, P could not exist.
Excuse me.
P exists, therefore Q.
Okay, so you had then if we're gonna denote this into propositions, the first is P, the second.
Good. Do you reject that the God of the Bible is the necessary prerequisite
Absolutely yes.
for everything, including reason? Do you reject
yes.
Say yes. That's a deep one. No, I mean that's a long route, I just want to ask you about the inference. What is the?
I'm asking you if you accept or reject that.
Yeah, I'm agnostic about that.
Reject it.
Okay, so when you say you're agnostic, you lack belief in God? Is that it?
I don't know what God.
There is no God to lack belief in, bud.
Really
right. Okay. So why is it that you lack? Why is it that you lack belief in God?
Because no God exists.
It's not believe God exists or not. It's more like I don't know what you mean by God. Or anyone for that.
Sir,
good question.
Now you're just playing little silly games. We all know what we mean by the word God.
We all see. That's an assumption. We all know what we mean by the word God, so I don't have to tell you what I mean by the word God. This guy, Gary Mill, is thick. He's as thick as a brick. In Saskatchewan. See? All right. Stopping Philly, Sydney.
God, we would define God as a non-material, conscious, personal being that has the power and the capacity to effectuate the initial conditions of the universe. Now, in this case, the God I'm referring to is only the Christian God. Okay, I've given you a very basic generic definition of God, and then I've told you that the version that I hold to is the Christian God. Now, do you lack belief in gods because there isn't rational justification?
Is God something
I believe they are
material
imaginary
that,
gods. Does that
No,
count?
God is an immaterial being. He's an immaterial entity. Now, do you lack belief in God because God is not rationally justified?
Well, first I want to define God more. What you mean by God, right?
I already gave you a definition. I asked you a question. Do you lack belief in an immaterial, personal being that brought into existence the universe, where God would be the ultimacy of reality? Do you lack belief in a personal ultimacy?
What the fuck are
Okay,
you
there's
talking
a
about?
lot of things I want to ask there, like
Yes.
how.
So you should.
What is this person?
God is defined as a personal ultimacy or personal absolute upon which everything depends. So you lack belief in that, right?
Hold on a sec. Are you saying that this is a true claim?
Do you lack belief in God, sir? This is really simple. I think your English is good enough. Do you lack belief in God?
But God doesn't exist.
I'm neutral. I don't know. I know what you have given a definition.
I didn't ask you to
Jesus
affirm or
Christ,
deny.
he
You
just
lack
jumps.
belief in God. You
He
lack
jumps out at
belief
you.
in the affirmation and the denial of God. So you lack belief in God. This isn't very complicated, sir.
He's very
like I don't want
aggressive.
to. I think I'm neutral on that question.
No, you
I
no,
can't say
actually.
yes or no.
So you're neutral on whether you lack belief in God. You don't know whether you lack belief in God.
He's such an
No, because I want more questions and more definition on what.
I'm trying to. Well, sir, I don't care what you want.
I don't care
what I'm asking
about
you
you.
is,
I'm a
what is
Christian.
your state of mind?
I'm a Christian. I don't care about
you. Do
you.
you have an absence of belief in God, sir?
Okay, what is let's go into more defining God.
Sir, do you have an absence and a belief in God?
I have to be vegan. Unless you're saying that you do believe in God, the answer should be yes. Unless you say I believe in God, or
I would
in
say
God,
yes. Go ahead.
then the answer would be yes, that you lack the belief. It's a binary, because the lack of or non, it just, no matter what context you look at it, like for example, like asymmetrical, anything that's not symmetrical is a lack of symmetry, right?
Okay, vegan, are you familiar with the laws of logic?
I want to make a little point here. Unethical vegan has a bit of a habit of claiming to know something to a point of lecturing other people on it.
That sounds very much like the Darth Dawkins that we've known for 10 years doing exactly the same thing, isn't it?
Like, for example, claiming to understand the concept of validity and then needing to have the concept of validity explained to him for 2 hours by a philosophy PhD and not comprehending it. And he's also ranted endlessly about inference rules and just failed to understand the most basic inference rule that which is the modus ponens. Darth just said to you, if P then Q, he used the letters in reverse, but he said if P then Q, P therefore Q. That's a fucking modus ponens, UV. That's the most basic inference rule ever. That's the simplest inference rule, and you just didn't spot it.
That's the implication elimination.
Okay, vegan. Either you have a belief in God or not. Okay, vegan. Either you have a belief in God or not. Which is it?
Not.
You mean lack, right? So.
Not.
Vegan, do you have a belief in God?
Vegan, say
do
not.
you have a belief in God?
Say not. I say no. Vegan, say no.
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah,
no, he said no. He said no.
Yeah,
vegan,
I don't want to.
Vegan, do you believe Donald Trump is the president of the United States?
If I'm gonna go by my definition.
Vegan. Okay, good. So you believe it. Vegan, do you believe there are rocks on the moon?
Oh, where? Why?
Yes, by my definition.
Okay, vegan, do you believe that sometimes there are clouds in the sky?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Okay, vegan, do you have a belief that there is a creator God?
No!
Then I would like to for you to
no, just say
I've
no.
already defined. I've already defined it for you, sir.
No. It's like
Do you
drugs.
believe in a creator God,
Just
according
say
to the definition
no.
that I've given?
Unnatural vegan, don't confuse knowledge with belief. Belief is just whether you believe it or not.
This is really simple. It's amazing. Somebody who claims to be at least some philosophically literate. I have some of the dumbest people on Discord are able to answer these very simple questions. Do you have a belief in God?
Well, that's like because I don't know what you mean by God. Yeah, I know.
He said, "Come on, vegan or whatever." He said, "Do you believe in a creator God?" It's very simple. Even Gary Milne has done it. He's gone and asked you the most basic fucking question. Do you believe in the creator God? The answer is categorically no. That's it. You don't have to put and ah all over the place. Get to the point.
I already explained to you the definition of God. Do you have belief that there is a personal conscious being who is the creator and sustainer of all things? Do you have such a belief?
I do not.
I would want you to ask what you mean by creator.
Okay, gentlemen. So I'm done with this guy. This guy is overtly obtuse on purpose. Okay, so there's no point in the conversation. He can't even answer.
I'm with our friend Darth Dawkins here. The guy, he doesn't have to hem and haw and say, "What do you mean by creator God?" Yeah, bullshit. Come on.
Answer a simple question. Do you believe in God? Okay, so there's no point in the conversation going on any further.
Yes.
See ya.
All right, so we're gonna do what we always do here and give people closing statements. Are you sure you're done, Darth? You don't want to try to give him a definition one more time and see if he can...
How many times do I have to give it to him?
Try one more time.
Vegan, God is defined as a non-material, conscious, personal being who is the ultimacy and absolute of existence that provides for everything else that exists, because he is defined as the creator of all things. Do you have a belief in such a God?
No, I do not.
That's a lot of definitions there.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't
Jesus,
think we should
no.
go down that.
Vegan.
Okay, you see, look, this guy
Listen,
can't
vegan.
possibly be this stupid. He is
Well,
yeah.
You're over talking me. Ask yourself, he's simply
Vegan.
purposely being obtuse.
See, don't go vegan, people. Because if you go vegan and you go up against Darth Dawkins, Sidney Winston is liable to agree with Darth Dawkins at some point. And that is inconceivable. Isn't it? So don't do that.
Okay, so I'm not going to sit there and carry on a conversation, let alone a debate with somebody who can't even answer the simplest of question. Little children can answer this question.
He always goes to little children.
All right, so I'm going to say, if you're calling it there, just closing statements. So, unethical vegan, you can go as long as you want. Darth won't interrupt you. You know, make your closing statement, say whatever you want, then he'll make his.
There you go.
Yes, I would just summarize this as...
Vegan.
Will, don't cut him off. Let him make his statement.
I just wanted to help him with one thing, though.
Will.
Okay, I'll do it after. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I would just summarize it as if I can't answer if the concept is ill-defined, and it's like me saying, "Do you believe in X?" And then you ask me, "Okay, what is X?" And then I go on a tangent, but it's not properly defined in order to conclude to a true or false statement about that claim. So I would like more definitions in order for me to be able to say yes or no. I could just say yes, I believe there's no God, right? But then it wouldn't be.
Yeah, this is a waste of my time. I'll see you guys later.
Darth, he's gone. Well, you can still make your statement for the record, UV.
He's gone.
No, I was finished.
All right, well, that was short-lived.
Yeah, well, that's the end of that one. So what I'm thinking of doing then is opening up a conversation room for everybody who would like to, anybody who would like to join. I guess I'll gauge. Let me just get rid of this and this and this. There we go. I'll gauge the popularity of that idea soon enough. Okay. So guess what I did while you were watching, while you were listening to the Meister, the Meister Gary. Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. I was out making a room for you guys to join. Okay, and I'm just getting it ready right now. Okay, yeah, baby, yeah, baby. All right, I'm switching over. There we go. So this is the room, and you're welcome to join. Let me know what you thought about what you heard. Here we go. There are a number of ways to join. This is just one of them, which I'll pin to the top. Which I'll try and pin to the top. There we go. And let me see if that takes. There are other ways to join. Oh, yeah, that one took. There's another way to join by phone. You don't need to have any application whatsoever. Just join by phone. If you are in another country outside of North America, you can still join by phone. You go down into the description of this episode and you will find a... Oh, hello. You'll find a link for the international code, the international numbers. So every country has a local number to call and a link, a PIN number, I should say. Same PIN number for every country, but every country is a different number, different local number. So there you go. And you don't know that I'm actually on the, oh, here we go. I can show you. Yeah. Okay. So I'm on the, I'm in the room right now. So come on, join me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me lonely. Come on. Boy, I am a lousy singer. Yes, my voice is off today. Didn't have my lemon and honey tea, which I should have. Especially when I plan to talk a lot, because I don't usually talk a lot. Oh, I sense dissension in the ranks. Music. Someone does not like music. Okay, fair enough. I'm here to entertain you, so you tell me what entertains you. Obviously not this 70s porno music. You guys kill me. Okay, let me invoke some wizard technology. Check this out. Check this out. Oh, wizard, oh, Satan. Oh, switch on the light, Satan. You are nothing but... Oh! Ow. Satan is way more powerful than Jesus. I just proved it. I just prayed to Satan. I called on Satan to make my wish come true, and it came true. You saw it, right? I mean, it wasn't pre-recorded or anything. This you saw happen. Proof that Satan is a stronger and more benevolent being than that evil, psychotic Jesus God. Ugh. Ugh. And the Catholics who believe in him, oh my God. And then the neo-Catholics, or should I say Protestants, it's a fucking chaotic mess. Mess it is. If you had to look at a map, or some kind of a graph of the explosion of Christianity, one that is made like, showing evolution and how big and how fast and when and how, it would look very similar probably to the map of common descent, which is 100,000 different branches and species and blah blah blah. In fact, I think I've even seen one like that at some point. Why is my dog barking at me? Well, I don't think she is. Oh, okay. Look how smart my dog is. Her boyfriend, Tommy the cat, has come over to visit. And the barking was to tell me, because I looked around and had a look, the barking was to tell me that she had finished all the food in a bowl. And considering her boyfriend's still around, she'd like a round 2, please. So I'm going to go and serve up her round 2. And I'll tell you what, Iron Charity, why don't you come on in and we'll battle it out. But I'm going to go and give some more. Yeah, come on, man. Come on, we'll battle it out. Just give me a moment. I got to go and give my doggy some love and some food. So music's going to be the next 60 seconds or so, right? Thank you. Thank you for your understanding. How's that for timing, huh? So, what are we going to do, ladies and gentlemen? To converse or not to converse? That is the question. All right, let's do an internal critique, an analysis. This channel, whoa! We've been going for over 3 hours. This must come to an end, ladies and gentlemen, as all good things must. But no, it doesn't have to be the end. It could just be a pause. Then I'll be back. Would you like to hear some more Darth and his presuppositionalist ways? If you do, you are watching the correct channel, because that's what's next. More of Darth Dawkins on presuppositionalism. To be a lot more. There's let's see, 1, 2, 2:44, 3.5 hours of Darth Dawkins on presuppositionalism next on Sydney Winston. Okay, so the room is open, of course, for general chatter for everybody. Sydney, you said you were going to shut down your channel if someone can prove you wrong, says Iron Charioteer. See ya later, crocodile. And